Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Playday number 2 of the Latin American Pro League. My name is Parker and Taro Mackay, and this is Michael I'm Kickstar, this is Emzo, and Parker is out of the office for the remainder of the week, so it's just going to be myself, Emzo, and, of course, Milos or Gassan for this Latin American Playday, as well as our final Playday for the week in Europe, which we'll have, of course, tomorrow.
Yeah.
But for today, we have some pretty exciting matchups. We have, of course, FaZe versus Ya to start us off for the day, and another one right after that to follow it up.
Yeah, that should be good. BRK versus Liquid. So, I mean, we'll obviously take a look at the schedule and stuff like that, but should be some interesting Latin American matches. Last week was maybe not up to the par. I think we'll see today. So.
Well, I'm curious, what do you think is going to be the more exciting match of the two? Because I honestly can't tell.
I think the BRK Liquid, because both those teams have something to prove at this point, just because the roster change-ups on BRK and Liquid's performance at Invitationals, something to prove.
Totally agree. So let's take a look at the brackets for the Latin American region, starting with Group A. We'll have them up on your screen there. Black Dragons 2-0 over Red Candids, and as you can see, Bootcamp 2-0 over Team 1. Now, of course, it's worth noting that if you did watch the last week for Latin America, Team 1 actually won that matchup, but there was a rematch issued due to some reasons that we're not going to get into right now, and during that rematch, Bootcamp managed to come out in a 2-0 swinging. So they have, pushed their way, well, unfortunate for Team 1, certainly. So they have pushed their way into the winner's match against Black Dragons, which will be, of course, next week. And Red Candids and Team 1 fighting in the loser's match to decide which one will be eliminated from the season. Now, we also have Group B, which we'll be bringing up here.
So we got FaZe versus Ya, which should be, I think, a little bit in FaZe's favor. However, Ya is kind of the underdog, the underrated one that has shown quite a bit of potential here, and they've had time to practice in this Invitational, figure out what they might have done wrong, and study FaZe. Obviously, there's also the BR6 as well for information for them to work up.
Right. As
FaZe played that first day of BR6, they have a little bit more information going into today. But then BRK versus Liquid, as I mentioned earlier, should be an interesting match. A lot of our second matches lately have been the ones that tend to be going to 2-1s and things like that, whereas usually the first matches for seeding reasons have been more so 2-0s.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the schedule for the day. You can see, Ya Gaming versus FaZe will be our first match with myself and Emzo, and then later BRK versus Team Liquid, which will be Milos Emzo.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah, so we are going to have just that mix up. And we've got some exciting, I mean, these matches are pretty intense. You know, Ya Gaming, a team that I think a lot of people have underestimated quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not, represented necessarily by... as you would expect on a level of like FaZe or Liquid, you know, they don't have the fan base as much behind them, but they've been performing extremely well compared to expectation. FaZe, on the other hand, one of the heaviest swingers coming out of the Latin American region, definitely one that a lot of expectations are behind. So, of course, they're a team that I think a lot of people are anticipating to perform pretty well in this match.
I would hope so, but I mean, this is anyone's game. They've had to, luckily they've had BR6 to warm up, so they're not coming into this cold, and that's, I think, important because all the other regions are coming in cold. They're coming in, with whatever they scrimmed, whatever they practiced between Invitationals and now, and got this.
That's the thing. That's a big thing that I think a lot of people forget about is we don't really get to see a whole lot of interchanging of strategy as well as information exchange in between seasons. It goes into kind of this stealth, silent, Black Ops mode where all the different teams they're trying to gather information on each other based on scrims, but oftentimes it's misinformation what they can gather, and there's always new stuff. I mean, all the new operators aside, new meta aside. The strategy, the basic strategy, the fundamental level always changes in between these seasons, in between these events, from the Invitational to this season. What was it, like a 2, 3? It wasn't very long of a break.
It was very quick into this, and for them as well because they started BR6 even earlier than that. So they just went straight, from Invitationals to that.
But there's still a lot of time for adaptation and change for these teams, and that's what makes the earlier parts of seasons really interesting. And while this is Playday number 2 for Latin America, really it's these teams' first Playday for the entire region for Pro League. So let's take a look at the rosters then. Go ahead and bring up Ya Gaming. You can see Revolt, Spawns, Yuna, FK1, and GCR.
So these guys mostly hail from two different teams, two older teams, INTZ and Pain, which were both teams that were just not highly rated. They were just teams that really struggled previously.
Yeah, no.
And then these guys found each other, you know, maybe through Match.com or something, and they've really been they've been doing so much better together as a team. Like just the harmony is there, and well, the harmony is there, I guess. So good for them.
Devin.
They were formerly known as the Lanchonette during qualifiers, so you may have seen them then if you weren't familiar with the changeup that happened after that. But they showed a good performance during qualifiers that made us go, yeah, maybe this team has something to show.
Yeah, so, I mean, you often see that. A couple teams that maybe don't perform as well come together and make something just greater. It's all about that synergy, the teamwork, and, you know, say what you, I mean, individual player skill can only take you so far. But they do have opponents, and those are FaZe Clan. So in just a bit, we'll take up the FaZe roster and see what we got going on over here. Astro, Cameraman, Mav, Moringa, and Gohan. A very formidable roster that performed extremely well at the Invitational. Maybe not as well as some were hoping, but certainly made their mark.
Yeah, these guys have not really needed to change up anything. They've been coming very strong. I feel like this was the Invitationals was their strongest point that we've seen them in a while. I mean, obviously, Latin America has a lot of strong players that have kind of shuffled around different teams and stuff.
Yeah.
These guys have stuck around. This is going all the way back to a team that was originally Santos Dexterity, which originally was in the first Invitational even. So these guys have a long history going back, maybe not all the exact same players, but they've been playing for so long.
I remember talking to a number of these players, and most notably Mav at the second season finals.
Wow, yeah.
They weren't even there because that was before Latin America joined the Pro League. For those of you unfamiliar with Rainbow Six Pro League, perhaps, Latin America joined, I believe it was season 4, just after the first Invitational. Yeah. That was their official inauguration into the Pro League, the International Pro League. So, you know, they only came in last year, and before that, yeah, there was it was Dexterity, I believe it was, playing at the second season finals. But whatever the case, a couple of these players were there. I actually might have been in. Honestly, the team eludes me, but the players, they've been there for a long time before even Brazil was part of the Pro League. So a lot of history here on this roster. And FaZe Clan, a very formidable foe for YAG Gaming. Now, we do have, of course, something that we've been doing for a couple of the other regions. We will be doing for this region as well. In due course, the attacking operator selection rate for Latin America. As you can see, Lion at 92.3%, Habana following up that with 74.4%, and then Blitz Thatcher Thermite. So no real surprises here, maybe besides the Thermite. I mean, what do you think, Devin?
Yeah, I mean, if you're unfamiliar with this region in particular, the Blitz could be a little bit of a surprise. But
I suppose, yeah.
But if you watched Latin America at all, that's not a big deal. I mean, players like Julio have just been playing. He doesn't care. Like, if they nerfed Blitz to death, he'd still probably play more Recruit Shield.
He played Blitz before Blitz was before Blitz was very powerful. And now that he is extremely powerful and in the meta, he's definitely seeing a lot more play in Latin America. But Lion, of course, holding strong, 92, not quite 100% like we saw out of the North American region, but still pretty substantial there. Habana, of course, the previous season's top runner, forerunner, if you will, from the attacker side of things, has seen a little bit of a hit because of Lion's addition to the roster, but at the same time is still pretty high up there. So, yeah. And that's, of course, no surprise at all. The only thing for me that, I mean, of course, Thatcher, you need him because of the reinforcement of that gadget-based meta for defense. But the only surprise for me is a little bit Thermite. I
would say maybe some of that's due to just situations where Habana is not as effective as opening up something you're going to push, say, a Blitz through, right?
Well, of course, yeah.
Blitz needs to be able to have that path to walk right in and just flash everyone.
Yeah, of course, there's a much evener playing field. After you get past the top 5, usually it dips down to like 30%. You've got like 10 operators around that. Of course, we can't see that right now, but you know, it does even out. You know, you've got your Ying and whatnot over there. So let's take a look at the defenders now. The other side of this coin. Mira at 92.3, Smoke at 87.2. So this is similar to the Lion Habana sort of deal going on here with these top 2 players, or top 2 operators rather. And then you can see there's a notable dip when you go to Jaeger, Legion, Bandit, and that dip continues kind of to be even across the board as you go further down, you know, top 10.
Really dependent on bomb site.
Yeah, I mean, it really does depend on bomb site. And when you go down to, like, the top 10, they're all between, like, 60 and, you know, 30%. It doesn't get much lower than that. It's nice and even playing field because you got a lot of operators, a lot of choices there. It seems for both the attack and the defense, you've got 2 operators that you must bring.
Yeah.
And then 3 operators you can kind of decide.
And these two obviously are ones that are not necessarily situations where they're overly powerful or anything like that. It's just there's such a staple of how defense is meant to be played that you're just going to find them on every map. And they're also the ones that have, at least especially Mira, that have changed up which bomb sites were viable. So obviously next season when we have bans, it would be interesting to see these, influenced by that. But right now it's like, well, you could pick whoever you want. You're going to bring those almost every time.
The most notable thing for me out of the Defender top 5 is, of course, Legion being in that 4th spot. 53.8, that's pretty high. That's a substantial pick rate for an operator. I think after the addition, the buff that he received that made it so he got all of his traps 45 seconds faster, that was pretty substantial. Plus the fact that we're in a meta right now where the attackers, basically they try to rush out these rounds quite a lot faster.
That's where trap meta is good counter, right?
Yeah, the trap meta really counters that very heavily. And Legion in particular is good at holding 2 lanes single-handedly. Because of his traps, he can effectively do two people's jobs at once. So, in Latin America especially, he's a very favored operator. But all that said, those are our operators. And we also have the match, this particular one, and we'll get to the ban phase. See what maps are not going to be played, what maps are going to be picked from these teams.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see because obviously these teams kind of know which maps they're strong on. That hasn't changed too much over time, but the meta is a little bit different in terms of which operators are going to be strong on particular sites. Some of them we have seen attackers shifting to be a little more strong than they used to be, and I think some teams tend to prefer to be more in control of their sites. And so maps that tend to be more defensive favored, I think are starting to become more picked as we get into week 2 than say week 1, just because these teams really need to have some kind of control against that line. And otherwise they can't buy time. I mean, defenders need to be able to buy time. And we're not seeing time being bought by defenders when it's like a minute into the round and plant's almost going down already.
It can be difficult at times, but let's take a look at the ban phase for this match, and we'll bring that up on your screen momentarily. Yeah, Gaming going to be banning first, FaZe Clan banning second. We'll see them all pop out in just a moment here.
So
okay, look
wonderful,
at that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it doesn't ban Bank just because I know that's a good one for
honestly,
FaZe,
yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that too. You have to imagine that not banning Bank there from was deliberate. We've seen deliberate things like that before.
And
like
we've
for
seen
example,
the backfire a lot too.
Yeah, we've seen the last week. EG. It's the same thing, they backfired. We don't bring EG to their map.
Well, let's bring in Penta to Consulate, right? Kind of thing.
Exactly. And it just kind of looks like we're seeing that reflected here. I get, Gaming's thought process, but they have to have some pretty substantial counter strats in place to be able to make it work. So let's see what the picks are. Yeah, Gaming going to be picking first. Bank, yeah, so of course...
Yeah, they got to be then have something in mind.
They have deliberate counter strats in mind. Now, it's worth noting, we talk about how FaZe Clan really likes their Bank, but Bank is kind of a universal, I would say, Latin American map. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean, that is one that I think it's been more prevalent in Latin America than the other regions. It's one where I think their play style tends to work towards it a little bit more than we see in NA and EU. And it's one that NA and EU have slowly picked up on. I mean, EU, I think, was probably one to adopt it a little bit more before NA. NA just seemed to shun it early on and have slowly picked it up over time. But Latin America is just, whatever reason, their flexible play style, I think, works on a bigger map like this.
Clubhouse, the less flexible map, is going to be our second one. FaZe Clan coming with that pick. Surprisingly, Oregon of all three going to be fighting. Yeah, to be a decider.
That's rare.
A little bit of a shock there, but a clear idea in the mind of Gaming. We'll see if it works for them, and just I guess a preference pick there from FaZe. Instead of going to Oregon, going to Clubhouse. Those will be our 3 maps for this series. So definitely an interesting ban phase and pick phase. Took me off guard with those. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see because FaZe is the only team we've seen bring a lot of Finca in terms of when we saw them do it in BR6. Obviously, we hadn't seen them play Pro League yet, but we just have rarely seen a team want to bring Finca. And so that bleeds into maps because you're in what we saw with the pick rate for Smoke, for example, right? Smoke is the biggest counter to Finca. And on bomb site, say, for example, the basement of Bank, we actually saw them playing that against Red in BR6 where they were just able to dodge the smoke. They were just having Blitz go in and just take care of making sure to bait out all that smoke and not having an issue with it. But against a stronger team like that's risky to do.
And the thing is that Finca, while she hasn't been seeing a whole lot of play, is so very powerful in conjunction with Blitz because it allows Blitz to ADS instantly. It's basically like a quick scope. There's nothing you can really do about it. He can kill you before you can even react to his shield coming down. Effectively, it's like a mobile mirror window. So Finka's good when paired with that operator, which is Blitz, of course, being very popular in Latin America. We could see her play quite a lot.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the community poll for this match and see what you, the community, decided were going to be the winners. And here you go. 24% in favor of Yeah Gaming, 76% in favor of FaZe Clan. So not exactly surprising based upon the community vote, but I have a personal hunch. I feel like this match is going to be a lot closer than that poll would indicate.
I got to give credit to the 24% that voted for Yeah. They're ballsy.
I mean, you gotta be you gotta have your team, man.
Someone's gotta throw them for the underdogs. So
I mean, the thing is that Yeah Gaming are definitely the underdogs in the wide eye, but I do think that they have the ability to, if nothing else, pull a map away from FaZe.
Yeah, but we saw they picked a map that was such a big risk. If that doesn't pay off for them,
that's exactly it. It's either they win on bank or the series.
It's over. Yeah,
100% goes in favor of FaZe, because we're talking about FaZe's map that deliberately brought them to. That means like you say, it's a blunder, it's a gamble, it's something that you're hoping will work, and it could very well work, but sometimes it doesn't just come down to strategy.
No, because
sometimes
they've changed stuff.
Do with map preference on the individual player level.
Yeah, it's the map knowledge, right? It's not just we know their setups, we know their strats. They know the map inside and out. They can play flexible. They can make adaptations. They can just go do something absolutely crazy one round that all your preparation's not going to do anything for. So
yeah, and it's very dangerous. It's but at the same time, we do have two other maps aside from Bank.
True.
So Ya's gamble aside, when they get to Clubhouse, that's the real question, because Clubhouse is very different from Bank.
Yeah.
Very similar at the same time. It's an odd kind of case with these two maps, because Bank on the basement, it used to be something similar to Clubhouse. It's not really anymore. I mean, we're seeing a lot of teams go CEO, open area, and archives in preference to the basement.
And that's been working pretty well, actually, surprisingly. Good strats for that now.
But now that we're seeing that, it's straying away from the ideal of Clubhouse, which hasn't been changed that much in site selection. Mostly because on Clubhouse, while you're not winning as much on the defensive of Clubhouse, it is still like it's a site that's been hindered quite a lot with our current attacker meta. There's not really anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
So teams still have to defend the basement of Clubhouse, which puts forth a kind of an interesting conundrum on the map of teams trying to find these new and ingenious ways to play that site. And it can work for them, but oftentimes you see it, like, oh, we're going to do a 3-roamer strategy, and it just stumbles and falls flat on its face.
If any region's going to go for just roaming on Clubhouse, this is the region to do it. This is the region to say, we're going to throw 3 people upstairs. We don't care, because we can play it as best we can, and sometimes it works for them.
The only thing I'm worried about is if we see what other regions have been doing, which is just falling into the typical Clubhouse and let's go basement, let's go basement, let's go basement, and they lose it. Over and over again. They lose the hold on basement over and over again, because if you try to anchor right now, it's just so difficult in our meta. I mean, I remember, I can't remember the match, but it was earlier in the season. We saw coming out of Clubhouse tunnel, construction tunnel, a blitz which was Finka'd after gaining control and just killing everyone. Yeah, we're probably going to see more of that today. I mean, of course, we are going to be seeing Clubhouse, so that's probably what the strategy is going to be.
Going to need Smoke playing that tunnel for sure.
And it's all about delaying the time, too. I mean, that's why we see Legion, what was it, a 54% pick rate? He's so high because you have to delay.
The upside is that's one of the counters to Finka as well. So there's a situation where you play a Smoke and a Legion in tunnel, and that blitz comes rolling down. He's going to lose his boost, but you almost want to smoke him before he loses his boost, right? So he's vulnerable to that first.
In a way, he's the counter to Finka because he disables Finka ability, but also in the way, he's the counter to his own counter because Smoke no longer insta-gibs people if they don't have the Finka, but if they do have the Finka, you delete them effectively.
You just have the Legion Mines a bit further back.
Yeah, you got to have, besides that, but all that aside, we are, I think, going to be getting into the match in just a moment. Of course, it will be Bank as our map number 1 in this best of 3 FaZe versus Yeah. This is Ya's map pick. So we are actually, I believe, We'll be coming back in just a moment, but we should have the match ready soon, TM. Apologies for the delay, ladies and gentlemen, but that's all right. We've got much more to talk about. Very interesting series. Now, should we get to it, Oregon is that third map.
That should be interesting because it's one that I know I've heard from a lot of pro teams struggling with that map in the new meta, just because that's such a map where you really need to have good roam play. Not in the same way as Bank, it's just more of for map control and things like that, because there are sections of the map, like the west side, for example, that can be taken, and once they're taken, they're hard to retake as a defender unless you whittle them down and flank. And the meeting halls become, I mean, it already has been off and on in the meta, but especially right now, holding meeting hall is super important, but it's hard to do when they can pressure you so hard and fast. But at least it's one where Blitz isn't as dominant in that room, so it's so back and forth right now in terms of how teams are playing Oregon that I feel like it's falling off a little bit after the first week because of that.
I mean, the overall flow of the map is definitely taken a hit in the current meta. Even before the introduction of this meta, it didn't see, I mean, the Invitational, it didn't see as much play as people were expecting.
Surprising.
I think it actually was played less than Clubhouse, which was one of our more played maps, which that's like reaching back to Season 3. I'm talking year 1, guys. This is far back when Clubhouse was in the meta. Yet it as a map is seeing more play, despite the exact defensive philosophy that is Clubhouse being directly countered with this meta, which is just an oddity. But, I mean, here we are. We've been seeing it a lot so far in this season.
Well, what's interesting is we thought Oregon was going to be broken by the Yin Glass meta. We thought, like, Oregon's done in a way because of that, right? And that lasted all of 5 minutes in the Invitational. And then, like, Lion came out and they were like, whatever, we'll save that for next season. Because it's all about this time. Lion doing his thing, Blitz doing his thing. And we've seen Blitz just storm that basement, coming down from tower, construction, wherever. He finds a set of stairs, he's down there dropping hatches. And once he gets towards that B site, it's just, you know, you got to fight him hard and fast right there. And Latin America has been super about that. And they used to have so many defenses that were like dependent on throwing C4s and playing that, and that actually can work okay if there's no glass, you know, in the smoke plants or anything like that. But right now it's not working.
And then you also have the extra layer right now of if there's no glass, but also if there's no lion, and if there is a lion, you better make sure you have a mute on those mirror windows so you can peek safely.
You're gonna have to like lean throw or something like that.
It's a very precarious situation for the defense right now on every single map, but
not
also
to mention
on
they
some
had
of
a
the
nerf.
staples like Oregon Basement just doesn't seem to be as viable. Clubhouse Basement just doesn't seem to be as viable, and the real question is which team is going to invent the strategy that other teams will start incorporating that will reinvent those sites to make them more viable in this current meta, because that's what we're seeing happening. All of the operator selections are shifting on defense to accommodate the new attacking meta, and all of the strategies being employed on both sides of the fence are very seriously changing, but we still have yet to see real adaptation to the default holds of the typical sites for some of these maps.
Now, Cafe is one that I would say is the exception to that. Cafe has been kind of reinvigorated lately, and we've actually seen a lot of it as a result. We saw Rogue bring in a lot of interesting stuff on that map at Invitationals, and we've seen a lot of that during the season as well. Unfortunately, we didn't see all of that yesterday, or the day before yesterday, rather, just because of the stream issues. But it's an interesting setup in that they're trying to specifically counter the way Lion plays into the meta and the way people are playing now, and not all the maps maybe accommodate that the same way. And I think we would like them to, and I feel like even Dorms has actually been a little bit stronger now. I mean, it was one that kind of some teams preferred and stuff like that, but I feel like people are winning Dorms more now just because that basement on Oregon is so hard to deal with now.
I mean, it's all about the roaming, like you talked about earlier. You kind of hit the nail on the head there. And those roamers are so hard to actually keep alive these days. When you're defending the top floor, there's a lot more options in terms of the versatility, because the west side of the building on Oregon, of course, is the harder side to roam on, thus the easier side to defend overall. Because, of course, the reason being, if you're wondering why is it harder to roam over there, is because everywhere else on the map you have 3 layers, 3 floors. You've got the basement, you've got the middle floor, and the top floor. On the west side of the building, there is no basement, so that extra floor for maneuvering for the defenders just doesn't exist.
Not to mention, no, floor above as well. It's just roof there. And
yeah, at some point, yeah, it just becomes like one single floor. I mean, it goes the second floor again at some point, but that whole west side is just a very difficult roam, and thus you don't see many roamers there. Actually, interestingly, on that note, we did see a heavy roaming presence last week when we saw, or not last week, earlier in the North America Playday. We did see a lot of roamers over by kitchen and cafeteria. Well, not kitchen, of course. You're going to see roamers in kitchen. Cafeteria specifically was like a point of focus for the defense, where they were trying to delay quite a lot more than times past.
Well, we'd seen it before, like the meeting hall defenses bled into kitchen, but they didn't bleed into dining just yet. Like, it was a situation where they're like, that's a little too far. We're exposed a little too much to the flanks, the hallways. They can blow up the walls. But yeah, it's just, I feel like it's more and more about stopping that push from the west side as much as possible, or at least costing them utility or manpower or whatever you can. Maybe even drones. Just cost them a ton of drones to get into you.
We were also talking about earlier in the week how if you can roam just a little bit and get that pick onto Lion early on, it gives your team so much. Even if you die for it, if you get the pick, it is incredibly worth it.
Same with Blitz in the current meta to an extent too, because a lot, I mean, he's not
a little bit harder to get the pick on with the shield in his face.
You got to get him when he's being a little over greedy and doesn't know about that extra roamer who's got the flank, right? That's the way you're going to get him most of the time, is just play into his greed, because that's his main strength right now, is he just comes barreling at you. And so if you bait him into barreling him at you, don't stop him.
The train is coming.
Have someone else ready to hop on board. It's just, that's the only way it's going to work. So we'll see. I mean, I imagine we're going to see that at least once today. Hopefully for the, guys, maybe more than once, because otherwise it's going to be that Blitz train roll.
I mean, I fully expect both teams to incorporate Blitz into their strategy on attack. Not all the time, per se, but quite a lot. Also, of course, we're going to be seeing a lot of Lion. Hibana is going to be very prevalent in this match, as I'm sure you can predict from the operator pick rates. But overall, you know, we've been talking a lot about Club and Oregon. Let's talk a little bit about Bank, and we already discussed it briefly, but it has been seeing a little bit of a reformation in terms of the strategies employed and the ways that it's defended, the ways that it's attacked. Everything's kind of seeing just a little bit of a shift.
CEO seems to be somehow working a lot better than it used to, and the defensive holds have gotten a lot more interesting up there.
You know, the funny thing about CEO working better than it used to is they lost 3 ACOGs since it was determined that CEO was a bad site to defend. Anyway.
And they're still doing it.
We are done talking about potential strategy and meta theories. Let's actually get into the match. Bank, again, going to be our map #1 in this FaZe versus match. I am incredibly excited to see what we have here in the early rounds, considering this is, I think, FaZe's map and Ya's pick.
Should be interesting. I mean, I hope that means we're going to see with some interesting setups, nonetheless. Either or at least some interesting attacks. And speaking of interesting attacks, the Montaigne.
Montaigne Glass as well.
Has really influenced the meta. Like,
I mean, I'm going to be honest, Penta influences pretty much everybody.
Well, it helps when you're a 4-time winner.
It does, and world champion to boot.
Yeah, so nonetheless, they are bringing it, but I don't know if this is the site they were thinking it would be.
No, this is it. This is the exact strategy we saw in the North American Playday earlier. I believe it was Rogue who employed this.
Yeah, the one you were very excited about.
It was a beautiful strategy.
Unfortunately, it didn't get executed as well as we would have liked.
Well, no, it got executed right. CLG just beautifully countered it. They read the strat.
Executed on them.
Yeah, CLG read the strat and were like, okay, we know how to handle this. And they handled it beautifully. So props to Rogue for that strategy, and then also props to CLG for countering it well. Now it's going to be Gaming's turn, and FaZe is going to be the team that has to adapt and figure this one out fast, because if they delay for too long, they will undoubtedly lose the round on time alone.
Interestingly, this is a bomb site where smoke doesn't necessarily need to be picked, and so instead we're going to have a mute, and the Echo can kind of play a little bit of that same role, which is especially interesting against the Montaigne, because he can help take down that shield a little bit. So we'll see if that factors in for GCR.
I mean, of course, FaZe Clan right now are trying to employ a smoke strategy. That much is clear as day. And the Echo, the Yokai, is very particularly good at counteracting that.
Especially with the higher roof. It has more chance of seeing over top of the smoke.
Of course.
So, assuming it can get all the way to the roof, there are issues where it can be a little struggle to get it to the roof, for example, in the lobby of Bank, just because of the height of the ceiling.
You can see that we have spawns on mute. Setting up. What was that?
A little premature.
Questionable C4 there from Spawns is going to result in some wasted utility very early on.
Yeah, that's going to play right into their hands. Now, he is going to have an angle he's obviously comfortable playing up, but he's going to give out that he's using that angle by doing that C4. So now they're going to be watching a little bit more carefully or just avoiding it altogether.
I mean, it's possible he was just trying to open up the angle a little bit wider, but you got to imagine he could have gotten a kill with that C4. A little bit of a waste, but it's not going to matter probably in the long run. It does look like FaZe Clan has fallen into the trap, because they are not trying to counteract the hold here. They're simply opening up the drops as you would expect, which is what this strat is designed to counter. Now, the one issue is that if the Yokai drone is not in a good position, it is likely FaZe will be able to get the plant based on their smokes alone.
Right now they're using it for intel. You saw it jump up the square lobby skylight, just jump up and look around like we saw, for example, Redeemer doing on Oregon that one time. So it's got to get in position after that.
It has moved into position. It's in the site. It's waiting for the drop. The first line goes out, and there goes the Yokai. That is such a huge pick there from Mav. Nice shot as well. FK trying to flank what isn't there over by elevator hallway, and it looks like FaZe Clan are just getting ready for the push. The first Lion, EE1D if you will, was unsuccessful at achieving anything. Just continuing to stall out here for FaZe. Mav's in a great position, but he's gonna have to get some good timing off to be able to utilize that position. Gohan drops, gets lit up in the process. C4 comes out to deny the plant. It's not gonna happen with the Yokai dead. The diffuser will be planted in the corner. Good coverage here from cameraman above, and more kills coming out for FaZe. The first one for Gaming in this map. FK1 takes down Astro, but they've got a long road ahead if they want to retake this site.
Well, at least that will help on the retake just because of the line off the board now, but they're almost dead at this point.
GCR, a nice headshot there onto cameraman, and as you can see, FK is actually above the diffuser, which has been planted. Mav in a good position, though, to deny that disable, gets FK. GCR, though, on fire in this round. Only 1 HP left. He's going to go for the Montaigne. Undoubtedly, Montaigne's calling that out. What a shot from GCR, but it's not enough. Gohan unshields, gets GCR, finishes the round for his team. Not much that could have been done there from the defense in that situation.
Ironically, the Echo was much more effective on his gun than he was with his Yokai drone in that situation. Just that early pick of the Yokai drone made that plant so much more possible. And it was unfortunate for them because that really is where they were able to capitalize on that. And the Lion was able to at least get 2 of his charges off, I believe, before he died. Obviously, stopping the retake would have been nice with that last one, but they had the Montaigne to be able to do that as well, to be able to just deny their ability to retake it. And they had a lot of nice hatch angles down as well, good coverage from different sides. I was surprised to see it kind of get down to the wire there at the end, though, just by some great plays by the Echo.
So that open area strategy is 0 for 2 so far in the Pro League. A very nice setup. I really like the innovation, but it's just not working out for teams that are employing it.
So Astro going to be bringing this Vigil. Should be fun to watch here, just because this, again, is a roam-heavy map, and he is one that can roam fairly effectively. We've even seen, for example, Shate bringing Caveira on this map just to try and help with the roam play. They're not bringing Jackal or anything like that, and that's where that's a little bit stronger, which is surprising since this is a map that is a little more Jackal-friendly. Instead of bringing a Dokkaebi, maybe a little bit of a questionable choice, but it depends on how they use those phone calls, whether or not they're able to push effectively on those or use those for roam clearing more so than a Jackal getting a single ping on a single person.
It's clear for Gaming that their motto going into this round is going to be disruption, disruption, disruption with the Dokkaebi and Lion combination. Now, it is definitely a formidable combo, but like you said, there are perhaps better, especially on Bank, better choices that could be made. GCR going to position himself on the parking garage. This is a very important angle to be playing, as it means you can call out any potential roamers in CEO. Now, currently for FaZe, there are none, so he's just going to be wasting a little bit of time up there, but it's better to know than to be caught off guard.
As long as he doesn't have the diffuser, right? We've seen that before.
We've seen that, yeah. That has happened in the Pro League before many times, and we've even seen people die on top of parking with the diffuser, and then it just sits out there the whole round.
You got to helicopter it in at that point. But both these teams wanting to bring glass here on this map. This is something we did see an interesting glass strategy with that storming of the bank.
It's also very popular in Latin America.
Absolutely. GCR is a great glass player too, so it's definitely not a waste putting him on that at all.
Yeah, I think Latin America as a region is the sort of region that likes to bring a lot of various operators. They don't stick to just one thing over and over again. Of course, they're going to stick to your Mara Smoke and Havana Lion because those are just indisputable as operators go. But they like to do things a little bit differently on the the other half of the best of 5. They have their options, and it's always nice to see them employ those.
At least they were able to get control of the lobby at the moment, but this is where it gets difficult. This is where they have trouble pushing in at this point. That's where the smokes and the glass really helps. We saw that 2 days ago with Rogue pushing in with the glass a little more aggressively with the blitz, but they're still going to try it here.
This round has felt deceptively fast, but in fact there's already 2 minutes out of the clock. Wow. Only 1 left, and nothing has happened yet. No. Yeah, Gaming has the control they want in that main lobby, but they aren't able to really use it for anything. Bond's pushing up the main stairs. We'll get Moringa. Nice shot there. Pushing to the teller's doorway, though. Cameraman's going to come out on top of the fight with the glass, and that's huge for his team. It means no more shooting through smokes. They still have a mirror window over in B facing A, but Yona able to refrag onto camera before Gohan from the mirror window gets FK1. Now there's only 35 seconds here, and yeah, Gaming have been trading back and forth, but it's definitely in favor of FaZe as they still have roamers off-site, ready to flank at any given moment, and their anchors, meanwhile, are having a pretty good time of it. Mav from behind gets spawns as Yuna also goes down, but revolts from the square stairs. The last attacker left here is going to have to get a 3K here to clutch it out. As he vaults the window, though, it's not going to happen. Gohan finishes things off, and you can see FaZe extending their lead 2-0.
Gotta give credit to FaZe there for just burning up 2 minutes without anything happening. That's not an easy thing to do sometimes, but that's just playing it very smart, where you position everyone, how you play your movement, how you use your roamers. The Vigil obviously plays into that as well because he is a hard one to suss out, especially on a 3-floor map, because it's much harder to determine which of those 3 floors he's in, as opposed to, say, a 2-floor map like Border, where he's either on one of the 2, and you can kind of tell a little bit of difference in signal strength. So,
yeah,
it worked.
Overall, the thing for me in that round that I have to critique about Yeah Gaming's strategy is this. They went to main lobby, they spent 2 minutes clearing out main lobby, and when you go to main lobby, your strategy is this. We don't want to deal with roamers, we'll stick 1 person on the flank hold, let's push in through the teller's wall and plant over cover of smoke, and that's it. That is what your strategy is.
It's got to be so much faster than that, too.
Yeah, it's got to be faster, but that's what your strategy is. And they didn't do any of that. What they did is they took control of lobby, then they adjusted without clearing any of the roamers out to the square skylight, and in the process it entered into a meat grinder of those roamers, those very proficient FaZe roamers, which tore Yeah Gaming asunder.
Not to mention trying to play close quarter combat there for Galaz. Not the best use of him, trying to play in that teller's area, and then just getting picked quickly by a 3-speed like Bandit was just... That really caught, I mean, losing the line and the glass early meant they had no really way to use smokes whatsoever to their advantage at that point.
You're absolutely right. It was some questionable decision making by Yeah Gaming. Overall, just need to see them commit to one strategy. Now, FaZe Clan are committing to one very particular strategy, and that is clearly the server take. As they push their way in within 30 seconds here, Gohan going to be obviously looking to get that diffuse plant off in the corner when the time is right. Also have Moringa, who's going to be backing them up using the glass and smoke cover.
I did see where that Legion Mine got put in that doorway, so he's just going to completely avoid it and push in the other way, and that's actually going to work to his advantage because now he's got nice long line of sight coverage that Glass is going to be able to use to his advantage as well and try and pick anyone red.
This is very interesting. They're actually going for a different plant than what is usual on the site. They've opened up the east wall rather than the north wall, which is kind of abnormal. Upstairs, though, Astro exchanging blows with FK1, and they will both be scarred but not finished off. First Lion gonna pop here. FK now gonna have to stand still. He's rather exposed, but not able to capitalize on it. Astro goes down and will lose his life to GCR from the side. Misplay there by the Lion, and oh no, Moringa goes down as the smokes pop. From above, Mav able to refrag onto FK, but GCR there to reciprocate in kind. And now it's just Gohan downstairs in the server. Montaigne versus 4. Gotta imagine this is unlikely.
He's got one smoke left, though. He's fine.
Yeah, he can make it work.
The guy's smoke break in the sewers. Can we just call a truce for the next minute?
Would be one of the most amazing clutches right now if Gohan were able to win this, but it's not likely. As
maybe if it was a
prior.
blitz.
It could. I mean, blitz is good in 1v1s. Honestly, it's not really gonna matter.
Yeah, get him to come back into the sewers at you.
Yeah. So Gohan just looking for somebody to give away their life. As you can see, Yeah Gaming clinging on to this round win, nice and firm, not trying to give away any potential advantage, and they're just gonna wait this out. More lesion traps going down, hindering this potential push. But honestly, at this point, Gohan's just saving the op. Yuna will finally finish him off, and we will see Yeah Gaming win their very first round on Bank. Good job to them to snuff out that assault into server very quickly.
So far, GCR has been a big part of why Yeah Gaming's been able to get some leads sometimes. Yeah, it doesn't always turn into a win, but it definitely helped there as well. And just, it seemed like they had everything going for them once they got into that basement. They were ready to get set up for that plant. But just like we saw in the previous round, that setup didn't turn into any kind of plant anytime soon. They were trying to bait everything out still, and that really stalled them out. Oh, let's bait out the smokes. Let's bait out the C4. And the Montaigne is chosen instead of the Blitz in that case because of the C4 bait, right? Because you want to be able to bait out a C4 and take that blast without having to worry about it. But
of course, Montaigne does tank quite quite a bit more because of his full deploy. But overall, either shield would have worked in that situation, I'm sure. The main thing, of course, is just, trying to cover the plant, which never actually managed to happen. You couldn't get it to happen.
Well, like you said, they picked the other wall.
And the lion so early on.
Well, you saw Astro using the lion to try and save himself even. Like, oh god, he's going to push me. I've got to use a lion here so I can take a second to drone and figure out where he's at now.
And that's the confusing thing, really, is why is your lion on flank hold, and why is he trying to aggressively flank hold?
No, he should have been down and Stewart's hanging out, or the server's hanging out with him. Yeah.
Either way, he should have been playing passively and in a support function entirely in that sort of strat.
Well, I mean, I don't know why Astro's playing anything but Twitch. He still plays Twitch as a main, and he has for, like, since the game came out, it seems like, but Lion just didn't seem like his operator.
Yeah, it's possible that he isn't as comfortable on that operator as he has been on others in the past. So maybe there will be an adaptation there from FaZe in the future, whereby they put someone else on the operator of Lion.
Looks like FK1's doing the same thing too. Although in this case, the Montaigne might be a little bit better deployed. We'll see. They have Yang to go with it.
Kind of a wasted Candela there to flash absolutely no one on the defense. Obviously, they are conscious of the drop down above, but a little bit of drone work could have saved some of that utility
had
they done it sooner in the round. Of course, there is the mute on FaZe Clan, Mav, who's got some pretty well-placed jammers, which are, of course, going to hinder the gaming drone game.
I like how they've set up the walls as well, just to make it difficult for them to open them up as much as possible. And the Thermite's busy up on the skylight, trying to help cover the server hatch, rather than here opening up the walls like we see usually.
Lion's gonna pop, and here come the smokes as well as the gas canisters in response. The Yokai drone gonna manage to get away after delaying the Montaigne, and it's just an exchange of utility as per usual on this push. And it will continue to be just that for the next 40 or so seconds in all likelihood.
Well, let's hope that changes up here so that at least someone's gonna manage to get something going, because we've seen a lot of these attacks just stalling out. Neither team seems to be able to have a good way to handle the delays that we're getting from them. And especially these Montaignes, they're just not able to actually push in. And the Glasses have actually been mostly ineffective on this map, which is
well, they keep dying before they get to shoot their gun, really.
Generally not a good policy. Although the smokes in this case are kind of working in his favor once they're baited out, because he can see through them and they might peek a little more aggressively, but...
Not entirely sure how many more smokes are left on the attacking side. I'm going to actually venture a guess not very many. Yeah, a single smoke for attack, and 50 seconds left. They've successfully baited out, I believe, 2 gas canisters, but no potential C4s have been baited out, which means Cameraman almost certainly still has one, as well as probably Mav. Oh, there you go. The last gas canister will get Yuna. Good job there from Moringa to wait for the perfect opportunity. And the C4 detonates, doesn't get anyone, still potentially 1 C4 on FaZe, but overall, good utility management from the defensive team.
At least the diffuser's in the right room.
Oh no, from behind, Revolt gets Gohan, not paying attention to his surroundings. Gohan, the first defender to fall. We see Moringa get the refrag early on. FK will get one as he pushes into the side. Astro somehow inside of server. What is happening here? back and forth now as Yeah Gaming in garage. Spawns gets one, Revolts gets another. It's just Astro in server. He's got a delay for 5 seconds. The diffuser is down. It cannot be planted. And here it comes. Actually, no, it is being planted inside of A. But is there a teammate to cover? No! What a shot from Astro! What? He gets the clutch! Astro, are you kidding me? What has just happened? Against all odds, pushing into server in the late end of the round. 1 versus 4, I believe. An amazing clutch from him, coming from behind at the perfect moment.
Wow, that is what happens when Astro's playing an operator he's a bit more comfortable on.
What a shot onto, I believe that was the Habana in the B bomb site. That was what caused him to be able to clutch that round. If it weren't for that, surely he would have died.
I mean, I liked the quick movement and getting that plant down. Obviously, they didn't have a whole lot of choice, but they managed to pick off so many defenders so fast. Some of that was due to the Thermite coming around for the flank and taking down that Echo. I mean, we see a lot of Echo playing in Garage, but that's one way to get the Yokai drone out and make sure it stays out. So I think that really kicked things off for their potential plant clutch, but Astro said, no, that's fine. We gave you guys 1 round. That's enough. Let's close this out. We are going to see a Jackal this time, though, so that will help out. And I'm assuming Astro's back. Yep, back on that Twitch. We were just talking about he's one of those players that just really demonstrates. Like I would say he's probably the best Twitch player in the world at the moment, unless there's somebody you could think of that is a little bit better. But I think
potentially. I mean, there aren't a lot of Twitch players in this
no,
meta.
Not anymore. And he's still got it, I think. But I like the adaptation of bringing the Jackal this time. We did see last time that was. It was a little less effective clearing those roamers, and with GCR playing that Vigil pretty effectively, that's where the Jackal is a little bit stronger than trying to use just Lion, because Vigil can just kind of hang out and avoid those drones as well as avoid getting pushed. So we'll see if that pays off, but no Blitz. So we're just not seeing a ton of Blitz. We see more Montaigne than Blitz on this particular map at the moment, so that's been interesting. Partially, I think, just because of some of the additional coverage that he gets, but he's also not as effective at fragging, which I think is a big downside for how they're playing it, because we're seeing, yes, Montaigne's great for denying things, but all they're doing is most of the time denying their own pushes in terms of trying to use the Montaigne. So we'll see if that changes up as we go.
Both shields are definitely viable in our current meta, and it seems like both of these teams are kind of moving backwards a little bit. We're seeing a lot of smoke strategies being employed, and it seemed different results.
Yeah.
I mean, that last round, if it weren't for Astro on the clutch, it probably would have been a different story. It certainly looks like we were seeing a well-executed smoke strategy that was working out. Of course, the Glass not doing very much, but overall, the attack was in favor of Yeah Gaming, especially once they started the push.
And it seemed like a similar tactic to what we saw previously.
Most of it was, I think, to just coming down to the successful Garage push. There was no attention paid to Garage.
Yeah, like that Echo, which again is the common meta right now, is for Echo to hang out in Garage. Just wasn't watching his own flank, because I mean, you can't blame him though. He was busy trying to do something in there to try and stop that Montaigne from pushing in.
Yeah, but overall, again, if it weren't for the clutch from Astro, would have been drastically different.
Absolutely. We are going to see another change up though. We're going to see the Pulse this time, and so for Revolts. That should be interesting to see if this helps a little bit on this defense. Is he going to be able to get a bit more intel on the push from upstairs, which is undoubtedly going to come. They need to take upstairs control unless they just, again, want to push in from lobby and hope they can just ignore the roamers. But in this case, Astro going to try and at least get lone office control first.
Lone office is a very important position if you're going for a main lobby take, but if you're just going to go ahead and come from behind, as it seems like FaZe is setting themselves up for multiple options, it's not that useful.
You're overexposing yourself a lot.
Astro pushing up the main lobby stairs, going to go ahead and leave main lobby in the dust. He's just trying to disable Meeting Hall, and he has successfully done that whether he knows it or not. You can see there's one player inside of it, and here goes for the peek. He will get that kill. Nice shot, and a double for Astro. Mav also gets one for himself, and very swiftly, within a second, all 3 of the roamers upstairs are felled. Now,
that's effective for a player.
That leaves just Yuna and Revolts down in the site. 1 C4 between them as Revolt C4 detonates without any use. 2 EE1Ds swiftly used by FaZe Clan. They're just looking for these last 2 defenders. C4 comes out from Yuna, will get Cameraman. That's the Lion. Very important frag, but it's not going to matter as Mav gets Revolts. Yuna will get a second for himself onto Moringa. He's going to have to ace to clutch this. Now, he does have the diffuser, and now he knows it. Oh, what a kill onto Astro. Finishes it off with the shotgun. Maybe a little bit of a misplay. Potentially could have just, tried to get a better position and went for the reload there. But it doesn't matter. Gohan finishes things off. Nice 3K there from Yuna, but it's just not enough. And now, match point for map number 1 in favor of FaZe, 4-1.
Well, at least credit to Yuna there. That was a tough situation. You just lost all your homies in a very short period of time there, and the pulse C4 was ineffective. I got to give credit to as well for that C4 throw. That was a smart heads-up play knowing that they were pushing in.
Yep.
You're blinded. All you can do at that point is press the trigger on that detonator, and did get 1 kill because he knows they're going to be pushing in on that, especially that low of time left. They need to push to follow that up.
Well, his gamble certainly paid off. Now, we are going to be seeing, I believe that is Teller's Archives as our defense here from FaZe Clan. Yes, indeed.
No one really wanting to play CEO, it seems like. We've seen an open area, which is a bit more rare.
I mean,
but
CEO, yeah, it hasn't been played by either of these teams, but it isn't exactly... We talked about how it's more popular, but I wouldn't say it's popular.
No, it's definitely not currently, as we like to call it, the meta, but it is definitely been stronger than we would have expected lately, so
I would agree with that.
We'll see if we'll see if it gets more play.
The open area strategy is over too. The CEO strategies we've been seeing are like 4 for 5, 4 for 6, something like that.
Which is much better than it used to be. Yeah, that's for sure.
So the top floor has been pretty successful in the past, but still neither team choosing to employ it in this match.
We're going to see a first Buck and Zofia, so there's just a lot of change-ups coming from the operators that they're playing on this.
Technically 3 soft destructors, 2 dedicated soft destructors on the attacking side. If you're not familiar with what I mean by soft destructor, of course that's Sledge and Buck, and then technically Zofia also kind of counts in that pool, though she has a lot of other utility.
Someone who can do a little more destruction than just bullet holes, basically.
Yeah, essentially. Now, FK going to be pushing his way into the main lobby. You can see that, Gaming trying to employ that main lobby strategy yet again, but the question is, are they going to commit to it, or will they decide, like they did last time, to stray far afield and get themselves tuned up in the process? Now, we do have, of course, Spawns upstairs, who is very swiftly taking control over that CEO, but he is effectively stranded by himself and exposed as a result. It's going to be down to him to be able to win whatever fight that Yad chooses to put him up against.
We've seen a lot of this angle getting played lately on Bank. That seems to be one that they're using quite often, just not necessarily always as effective as they would like. This approach just barely missing the head, but at least gets the window open.
That was an opportunity wasted there from Spawn, certainly, but as you said, the window open, that's going to allow Gaming to push in a lot more aggressively. Now, it's clear that Gaming have adapted since the last time they went to this site on attack. They've been able to disable the first mirror window swiftly thanks to the Buck on the top floor, and they are likely to get the second one in due course. It's just a matter of time, really.
Well, they still got plenty of time left. A minute and a half is not bad when they've got top-down control like this.
Absolutely. And no contention in CEO so far. Volt's going to get Gohan. Nice shot from him. Headshot on Gohan, who was anchoring in the site, I believe, on the second mirror window. And there's no one playing it now.
We'll see if they can actually turn this into something. At least another kill there on FK1. That's the Lion down as he triggers his last...
First and last,
final charge, yeah. Unfortunate.
Yeah, so Elevator Hall still in control of Gaming. FaZe Clan holding firm here, but has a really good grip on this round, as well as being able to push into the A bomb site almost uncontended. A little bit of shots going there onto GCR from the very long angle you can see being played there in small office, but it's not able to finish him off. Spawn still with top-down control, sees the feet of a player, but cannot shoot him. Revolt's going to get a kill onto Cameraman. Gaming looking very strong here. Astro, it's going to come a lot down to this flank. Revolts gets his third, I believe, for the round. What just happened? Spawn's an excellent flick there. GCR finishes things off as well downstairs, and Gaming a very efficient take onto the Tellers.
Got to give them their due course for adapting on that attack. A failed attack last time, much more effective this time, getting that top-down control and having someone like Buck and Sledge to be able to help turn that into something that's a lot of extra grenades as well, something they didn't have a lot of before.
Grenades didn't see a whole lot of use. It was mostly just to do with the vertical control. For whatever reason, FaZe Clan didn't roam on the top floor at all.
Yeah, till Astro tried to come there at the end. Yeah,
little bit.
Unfortunate for them, because that was obviously that could have helped a little bit because they gave up that top floor very quickly.
So FaZe Clan going to be looking to lock things out here, as we can see. Gaming going on to yet another defense. Now they have to win 2 more rounds in order to get overtime on Bank and deny an instant move over to that second map. And that's a tall order, especially considering how dominant FaZe has been looking so far on Bank.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but at least we've seen that they can adapt. They can change things up, and they can do it a little bit better. But with a 2-round deficit like this, that may not be enough to even really get one more round at this point. We'll see.
Operator selection mostly just the same for both teams. Of course, we don't have a Glaz or a Montaigne on FaZe's side, which means they have decided that that strategy is simply not working for them, and they're going to try and mix things up, do a little bit different. But overall, you know, season-wise, no surprises, pretty much typical lineups here.
Yeah, they're not going for a Montaigne push this time. I think both teams have decided that just did not work out how they would hope. And they also switched it up to where Astro now back on the Twitch and Cameraman instead of going to take up the Lion.
I have to say, keep Astro on Twitch.
Yeah, no, it's been working, and I think he's been, you know, he's been also very good on Jaeger.
Twitch and Jaeger.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are have been his mains for a long time, so not a surprise there.
Just a little bit of droning coming out here from FaZe. They're going to try and gather information on this top floor so they know what they're dealing with. You know, you and I, we know that there's no one upstairs, but
they don't.
FaZe has to learn that the hard way, so they're going to be putting in that time and effort. Most of the mute jammers obviously going to be downstairs, as this is a primary anchor site. You want to have those mutes in a position to deny the late game information or late round information, as well as those Lions.
Well, they are still at least making some progress, getting hatches open, getting control of things like open area. But as we've seen before, they can tend to get stalled out on these attacks that both these teams have been doing once they get that control. So they're going to have to actually start picking off defenders, and that's where it's been hard. If those defenders aren't giving themselves up on roam, they're definitely not giving themselves up on site. At least Echo's able to play in garage this time for a while.
He's paying attention to the garage,
yeah,
for sure. He doesn't want to get flanked again. Just a bit of a stall out here from FaZe Clan. Missed shot there just barely from the smoke there. I believe actually it was FaZe who was defending the basement when they got flanked, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You know, of course, you learn from your enemy's mistakes as well as your own. Either way, don't want to get flanked from the garage, which is interesting. The garage is a site or an area of this site that in the past was, I think, one of the most important things to hold for defense, but has kind of fallen out of favor in the most recent times. It's only acceptable to push it as an attacking team if you are focusing it with a shield early and they're just positioning someone there, or if the defense is not paying attention to it. And that is so often not the case.
Yeah, defense seems like they're definitely paying attention this time, and having a pulse really helps with that.
Here comes the utility, likely followed up by the push. The EE1D finally finished things off, but the smoke's got good coverage. C4 from Revolt is going to miss GCR's gas canisters delaying somewhat. Yuna's going to get Cameraman before Astro refrags onto FK1. And the diffuser has been planted. An effective push from FaZe Clan, and yeah, they're going to have to struggle for this retake. They only have a couple more seconds, about 25 more seconds to go, and they are kind of stalling out here. They've got a lot of people deep in this site for how long it's been into this plant. You can see it's on top of that table, which is very exposed, as well as the fact that FaZe has control over the drop and the stairs to the drop. 2 kills for FaZe, and there's a third. Revolt's the last one, and he goes down swiftly. What a round from FaZe, isolating the defenders, pushing them back, smoking things off, getting that diffuser plant, and holding the post plant very professionally. That is going to be map number 1, Bank, in favor of FaZe Clan.
That went from a whole lot of nothing happening to all of a sudden the plant's down and there's smoke everywhere. And that's why you definitely won that one. And I like the smoke plant spot as well. Like you said, so exposed. Like, I mean, it was a situation where they could obviously cover it from upstairs as well, from the hatch. And in doing that, they had so much coverage from different angles. It was just, yeah, good luck retaking that without killing pretty much everyone first.
Now, the interesting thing about that map is that it was Yai Gaming's pick. We talked about this a little bit earlier before the match actually started. Yai decided they wanted to bring FaZe to one of FaZe's favorite maps. So there was clearly some counter-stratting going on Yai's side, but it didn't work.
No, bottom 2 rounds, and that's it.
You know, I wonder if it might have been the confidence of that open area defense where they're like, oh, well, this defense is so great, we're going to be able to make it swing the rounds in our favor. Yeah,
well, I mean, you don't go into this game expecting to lose, right? You always go in expecting to win. Otherwise, you don't have the confidence and mentality to be able to play it. And so sometimes that could be a confidence boost to a team as well to say, we're going to counter-strat them. We've got this. We know how to play against them. We've got some cool new strats that I don't think they know how to play against. That confidence, yeah, you go in with that. You go in to say, like, we can take them on their map. Because if you do, you're super confident map too.
Whatever the case, didn't work out for Yap. So we are going to have a second map that will be played, and that is, of course, Clubhouse. So, Club as a map is... I mean, there's some comparable parts to Bank, but overall it's very different.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those maps where if you've got a really solid bar defense and you can win bar, that can really throw off, you know, the rhythm of those attack wins on the basement and give yourself extra little bit of buffer to be able to adjust on the basement and figure out, okay, you know, if you lose, say, the first one or two, you can make those adjustments that you need to make because you can play the other site and give yourself at least some rounds on that. But
the very dangerous thing about Clubhouse is that, of course, the basement is less defensible now than it ever has been. It is now actually difficult to hold in this current meta. But when you go up to bar, which has always been difficult to hold, it's even harder now because of Lion. So effectively, one thing to keep in mind, one thing you really have to know about that bar game or bar stock room defense on Clubhouse is that you have to move very swiftly from one bomb site to another as defense, and it's a long trek. The bomb sites are very far apart. I would probably venture to guess there's some of the farthest apart bombs in the entire game. Period. They're pretty distant from each other. So when you're making that trek, if there's a Lion being popped, an EE1D, by the way, real quick, am I the only one who feels like they missed an opportunity to call the EE1D Lion's Roar? Just the roar.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Why?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm delusional.
His pride.
Maybe I'm just wacky or something. But
no,
I feel like I want to say every time I say Lions, I want to say roar. You know,
Lions roaring right now, guys.
I want to follow it up with it, but anyway, it doesn't. Imagine an EE1D being popped in the middle of your rotation from B to A on bar. You're just caught in the middle of an open area. There's no cover, and they run in through the front door and they kill you while you're standing still.
And that's been some of the some of the reasons why we see some of the ACOGs being brought out. I mean, Echo is obviously useful on the site already, but then you throw an ACOG at him. Sometimes we see Doc or Rook as well, because you don't always have to run across if you can at least fight across. But at the same time, the trade-off of that is those are one-speed defenders, so you're not going to be able to run across.
Yeah, so, I mean, of course, that same idea is relevant on every bomb site.
Yeah.
Of course. It just happens to be that these two bombs are very far from each other on bar and stock, and there's a huge open area in between them. Yeah. So it's extremely dangerous.
Not to mention a soft ceiling above you, which makes it so that if they can get above you, which, you know, there's usually like an initial fight a lot of times over that top floor.
Of course, I think, you know, maybe we're forgetting that that is a secondary use for Lion.
Yeah.
But we'll just stop talking about Lion for now. We are trying to get everybody into the lobby for Clubhouse. Should be another 2-3 minutes. We'll see if we can get everyone loaded in.
Hopefully, as I'm sure they're antsy to get this going. I mean, I got to imagine, though, FaZe is going to want to keep that momentum going. They're going to want to get into it quickly. But yeah, on the other hand, may need to kind of regroup and think like, okay, we lost. Not only did we lose by 3 points, we also lost the map that we picked and thought we were going to do good on. But yeah, it's going to be unfortunate for going into this next map in terms of confidence, like we were talking about earlier, how much that factors in. Because FaZe already we're going to be coming into this confident because, well, it's FaZe.
Yeah.
You know, so
FaZe as a team, I think, is undisputably one of the top 2-3 teams in Latin America.
Well, representing their org.
They of course they're representing their org as well, but overall, like, just history, most recent history has shown us that they as a team have been performing very well, if you just look at the stats alone. And I think that, Gaming, while they are a team similarly have been playing pretty well, and they are one of the top teams out of Latin America, they, you know, have been struggling a little bit more.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot more to climb. Now, all that said, I do think could take this series. Well, I thought they could take this series, not after the ban phase.
Yeah,
that's what really sold me in FaZe. Like, honestly, you're bringing them to Bank, and Clubhouse is not exactly a map that FaZe isn't familiar with. I mean, they're not going to have too much trouble there. Honestly, Oregon probably would have been Yaz's best bet in this series.
Or just go to Coastline at this point and hope that they're just not as good on that map.
Overall, though, it was the Bank.
Yeah.
You know, it was you're bringing FaZe to Bank. And we talked about it before the match even began. Either wins on Bank, or they are seriously going to struggle in this best of 3.
Yeah, and let's hope that somehow the strats they have on Clubhouse are just even better than the ones they had on bank. But considering it wasn't their pick, I'm not thinking that was the case. As they had first pick. Second pick can be a little bit more up there in terms of like, if you pick second, maybe they wanted to pick bank also, and maybe bank was their primary pick and not clubhouse. But if you're first pick, that's where you want to go.
Anything is possible, but overall, it does look like is going to have a rough go of it in this one.
Either way, though, you know, I mean, I'm assuming they'll probably not win this even if it goes to 2-1, just because, well, obviously we have history and stats on our side on that. But I do think they will be a strong contender in the losers bracket if they do go down.
I do agree. I think that as a team have a lot of proficiency in their corner. They are a very good team. But they're up against a very steep wall.
There's quite a few other good teams that will be down there. I mean, it really depends on who they end up matched up against.
That's the thing about our format that we're using for Pro League right now. You often see good teams in the loser bracket. And of course, that is why next season we're not going to be using this format, and it's going to be a lot double round robin. You know, everybody's happy.
Quite a bit different in terms of like you're not going to be in a situation like this where you end up having to fight completely different teams because of winning or losing a match. You're just going to fight everyone throughout the season.
Twice.
That'll be interesting because we'll also I would assume have a DLC in the middle of that as well.
I mean,
and so the second time around,
we'll have to see how it actually works out. But overall, the structure is going to be so very exciting. You know, when you look at it from the even from the inside, from the outside, overall, when you look at Season 8, which is the next season, it kind of looks like it's going to be the first real Siege season, like the first like
everything
proper Siege season, where we have all the teams are all competing at the same level.
All the big orgs.
Oh, we got all the big orgs as well, and just overall the format is well organized and everything is just. It's exciting. Season 8 is exciting, and that's what makes Season 7, this one we're in right now, oh so much more important because, we've talked about this before, every team that doesn't make it into Season 8 is going to struggle because it's the 6-month season. This season is about 2.5 months. Right? It's short. It's a wee season. But it's one of the most important seasons ever in Siege because it leads into next season and that 6-month-long stretch.
And it's hard because we even struggle with teams just trying to stick together in some of these regions for even 3 months.
That's evened out quite a lot.
So yeah, and thankfully I think the orgs coming in is a big part of that in terms of like it gives you motivation to stay and well contracts.
There were a lot of teams after the Invitational that I was expecting to implode. And everyone gonna go their own separate ways, and it didn't happen. So
stabilizing.
All that said, we are going to be getting into map number 2. Thank you so much for your patience. It will be Clubhouse. FaZe took map number 1 in 5-2 fashion, and now they're going to be looking to go onto their map pick, that is, of Clubhouse, to try and be just as dominant.
Well, there's 2 bomb sites, so I would love for one of these teams to really try something different if it could work.
As Devin was saying, there you could see there in the rundown, the map rundown, that it was actually 4 bomb sites, but that is incorrect. That's just a technicality. On Clubhouse, there are 2 bomb sites. 2.5, if you count cash. But I think most people would just say 2. I mean, in this current meta, anything's possible.
I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna take my hands way off this one. I'm gonna say we've seen some cash defenses. We could see some more cash defenses.
The only time I'll count cash is Payday. It's just. The only time I count cash is on my actual Payday. So it's just, it's not a great bomb site.
The master of yokes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, right. So someone's got to make them. So I mean, but it's a situation where like, if the defenders were suddenly stronger because of their new operators, maybe try something like that. But when the attackers are now stronger, there's even more risk in trying an offsite.
I think the reason we've been seeing so many offsites in this season isn't because the defenders are stronger. I think it is because the attackers are stronger. It's the attackers. No, you've got to deal with them somehow. What's work if going to basement on Clubhouse isn't working,
what have you got left?
Then maybe you need to try something different.
Well, they're already getting into the top floor pretty fast there. So that's good. They're at least getting control of that. With the Jackal, if there was anyone that tried to roam up there at all, that's going to give additional
intel. Pretty fast.
Probably not going to, though, but he's going to, I imagine, get some footprints on that stairs, at least in there. Oh, nope, someone was upstairs. Unfortunate. That's going to give additional intel.
Those marks coming pretty swiftly now after his buff quite a while ago. Jackal is an operator that in the past wasn't seen as very viable, but sees a lot more play these days.
Yeah, especially when you've got operators like Vigil as well that are a little harder to drone, and then combine them with the line because you either force them to stand still and get shot or move and get shot.
And overall, the relevance of roamers in this meta, you gotta have someone to hunt them down. And Lion, while he's really good at that, you really want his global ability to be for more than just hunting roamers. And having that specific roam hunter in Jackal is beneficial. Now, we are seeing the drop downs opened up. There is no thermite, which means it's all on Habana, which also means no tunnel. Should Yeah Gaming want to open up all of the drops, they're not going to be able to get in through that constructed tunnel, which, you know, it's fine. I mean, they don't have a Blitz or a Montaigne to push it out, or even a Glass, or a Blackbeard.
It's risky, honestly, if you're going to fight someone in that tunnel.
They don't have a single one of the shoving operators that are oh so efficient at pushing tunnel.
Yeah, well, the deployable shield helping right there as well, because he doesn't know he's actually climbed a little bit higher than that. So this is a very common angle to fight.
Spawn's looking for some angles of his own as he looks downstairs. Zophia's using her lifeline, trying to distract the defenders as well as Smokes. There's still a whole minute here for Yeah Gaming. They're kind of going a little early. Actually, no, they haven't gone at all. This is all just wasted utility, but the same thing for the defense. Gohan gonna get the first kill onto Yuna. Very important frag. As the EE1D detonates, it's going to force FaZe to stand still, but Moringa going to get a kill regardless. And Yeah Gaming finding themselves at a 2-man deficit after using most of their utility, as well as losing their Lion on the push. This is not looking good for Yeah Gaming. Now, they didn't choose to use any angle other than this kitchen drop, and they are effectively and efficiently bottlenecking themselves as the last 2 smokes come out from the attack. Will it be followed up by a drop? It certainly must be. With only 20 seconds, they've got to go. Moringa through the smoke, gotta get spawns. Gohan pushes in, gets one for himself, and it's all just down to Revolts. It doesn't really matter what he does at this point. It's physically impossible for him to kill everyone on the defense. But a nice try from Yeah Gaming, and he's just gonna save the op. Is it just me, or is this like the second or third time that I have seen Revolts deliberately wait out the round? I believe he was also the Habana. Was it Mav who was going for an ace on Oregon? That this was like a season or 2 ago.
Yeah.
In a Latin American match, it was on Oregon. I can't remember the exact player, but someone was going for an ace. He had gotten a 4K, and it was Revolts, I want to say, waiting in the construction tunnel for the time to end. He so typically does that. It's like his trademark now.
Yeah, maybe he's just, you know, like, if I die, it tilts me more, so I just stay alive at that point.
But it's not exactly a bad thing or anything. You know, it's no hate on Revolts.
Yeah.
He couldn't have done anything there.
Right.
But he just kind of, you know, he hangs out.
Well, we might see a tunnel push this time. They've got the Blitz and a Thermite, so it should be interesting. I mean, they've got Buck as well to be able to fight the kitchen. So we'll see. If anyone's going to be pushing in, I think FaZe is a good one to be doing it, to be able to actually like just blow up the tunnel, push them in, and then obviously the Habanas to be able to open up the drops. So we'll see. They are setting up to be able to at least defend the tunnel a little bit. You got Jaeger setting up some ADSs there, and they've got Smoke to be able to play there. I imagine Smoke probably bringing Wire, Doc also bringing Wire, so they can at least slow it down a little bit, but that doesn't do much to slow down that Blitz train once it starts coming.
Yeah, the Blitz train is very dangerous. There's no Finka to back it up in this attack, but probably wouldn't be that...
Well, you know Smoke's going to play that tunnel, so...
Yeah, exactly. Smoke's going to play that tunnel. You bring a Finka, and you're effectively gimping your Smoke if you use it before you get through the tunnel. But after you get past the tunnel, after you get past all those gas canisters, she can be a very beneficial operator for your team.
It's all about timing, right? Because you don't have to pop it early.
Yeah, it's exactly it. It's all about time management.
So, I mean, and that's one thing to remember is, like, you're not automatically going to get hurt more by Smoke unless you've actually used it, although it does last quite a while. So it's a case of, like, you just want to make sure if you've taken Smoke off the board, go for it, you know? Just spam it at that point.
It's hard to get him off the board, though. I mean, most teams typically try to play him extremely passive.
Wow.
Wow, that is not supposed to happen. Nice Yuna going to go down, but he'll be picked up and healed back to full HP, thanks to the Doc being on the defensive team. Just, if nothing else, Yuna not going to be able to get picked up again.
At least he didn't lose his C4 as well.
Yeah, that would have been pretty bad.
Just dropped it.
But of course, back to full HP, just a little bit of Docs there. Mav pushing into that construction tunnel as it has been opened up to, thanks to Moringa. Bringing double hard destructors, very smart here from FaZe to give themselves a lot of options. Gohan gonna see, I believe that was the Pulse just underneath him, but not gonna try and contest him immediately upon visual cue. Mav using some of his gas canisters, not going to be able to, or gas grenades rather. Going to get caught by the ADSs, unfortunately, so some wasted utility there.
At least they brought Buck in to try and help clear out that barbed wire, so he's not trying to push too aggressively into it, but they're wasting a lot of time and utility trying to push that tunnel for something that's supposed to be a bit more of a rush, and then Smoke isn't even in there contesting him.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that we've had 2 minutes wasted there, and exactly, you're right, there's no one trying to fight the tunnel at all. First EE1D goes out. GCR earlier died to Gohan from above inside of that kitchen. Good use of the Buck there to be able to get that angle. FK going to be holding fast inside of blue, and that's a very important position for him to... Oh, wow, that is not supposed to happen. Astro, a very long angle into spawns. Moringa from inside. Blue gets a kill. Manages to get another through the wall. What a shot. Gohan as well getting FK, and overall, a good execution there from FaZe. Look at this shot. The wall hacks helping out the Thermite there in that situation from blue.
Wow. It was definitely a long put. It took him a while to get down that tunnel, but the upside of that was they were setting up the other people on the flanks, like because Buck had to come around and do the grenading, but then he went back up for the flank, and then the Thermite coming around as well. So they did at least give time for the positioning to work on a very quick collapse, and then getting the pulse off the board helped with that as well, because the pulse is going to be helpful in knowing that when that push is going to happen, as well as when they could potentially go from drop, because he has additional intel on the tunnel as well as what's going on in the kitchen, but he also has to expose himself to do that, and ultimately it cost him his life.
For me, it just seemed like, yeah, Gaming were extremely cramped. They were trying to hold multiple things at once, but no one was actually holding the angle that they were assigned to.
Yeah, unfortunate.
We had two people on the construction tunnel, one person on the kitchen drop, and one person playing in blue, and none of them were really holding any of these things. They just died as soon as they were confronted on those angles. I mean, Thermite managed to walk into blue without any contention whatsoever from the FK1, the Jaeger. So yeah, that's just what's obviously not supposed to happen, you know?
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, we are going to see a cash room, surprisingly enough, it looks like. They are going to bring it out. As you said, maybe an act of creativity or desperation, depending on how you want to see it at this point, in response to, well, basement being hard to defend. So we'll see, though. FaZe, if anyone could pull it off, FaZe would be a team to potentially do it here, especially against a team like Yahoo, who've been struggling here to fight against FaZe. But keep in mind that there's a good chance that Gaming's setup, their particular attacking operators they're going to be bringing, are going to be intended for a different bomb site than they are going to be fighting. That doesn't mean they're useless by any means. They're still very strong on the bomb site. You can see he can even open hatches for himself as the Glaz there of GCR. Well, nonetheless...
Very efficient.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out how they want to attack this now, as they're going to have to do a little more fluidly.
Spawn's going to put down some early damage onto Mav, but not going to be able to get that kill. A lot of information here in the favor of They are going to be able to, they're very efficient here in their clearing. Also going to be shutting down a lot of those Valkyrie camps, as you can see. I really like that Valkyrie camp. Very good position, but obviously GCR conscious of said position.
Thank goodness for that.
FK going to get a headshot onto camera from below, it seems, inside of stock. Good angle there to be utilized. And, good teamwork, I'm guessing, from a drone above to get that information, shoot through that floor. Mav stuck inside of storage room. It's a very dangerous place to be stuck, and as the EE1D goes off, FK will get that kill with the assist. Moringa gets a refrag, but Spawn's pushing in through the front door, gets Astro, and now FaZe Clan 2 versus 4 in dire straits, not looking like they have a good chance for this round. I mean, it's possible. We've seen 2v4s before. It's not like it's outside the realm of possibility, but they certainly gave away a lot of their advantage.
Yeah, with a 4v2 and there's strong attackers left, it's not exactly like Montaigne trying to walk in.
So the question is this deficit because of the defense of Cash Room, or is it just, oh wow, not paying attention there? Moringa gonna get spawned on the drone. Gotta be more awake than that.
Well, that will help, certainly. With a minute left, they can get good positions at this point. But Lion's still alive. Make repositioning hard. As I say that,
Gohan, what a shot. FK goes down. A 2v2 from a 2v4. GCR whiffing some shots and lit up to 1 HP. You also have Revolt, who's lost 25. He's going to get C4. No, that's actually GCR on the window as Revolt pushes into the site. Can he get one at least? Yes, he does. Gohan goes down, and now a one-on-one, but Revolt is on 1 HP. Moringa through the floor, or not rather through the floor, at the floor level, through the wall. using those pre-made holes, manages to get the kill and clutch out the round. That was a 2 versus 4 for FaZe Clan. Now a 3-0 in their favor.
It was really, really doubtful going into that 2v4 that they were going to win that, but just mistakes made by Yeah Gaming, turning all their advantage against them. Just the 2 site players left. Obviously, they were the ones who were kind of the core of that defense as well. I mean, some of the other players were playing a little bit more spread out, but nonetheless, just well played.
The roaming strategy that was being employed by FaZe Clan is they had 2 roamers, 1 anchor, and the anchor died very early. One of their anchors died very early on to the lion from inside of storage room from below, because that's of course a destructible ceiling / floor.
Yeah.
But apart from that, their double roamer strategy just did not work out.
No. But at least their site hold at the end did.
Yeah, and you can sometimes you see those double roam strategies, and the way what you talk about them is, you know, like had FaZe lost that round, it would have been a conversation of, okay, well, clearly the roamer strategy from FaZe not being employed very well, and more importantly, it comes down to the fact that very briefly, Moringa and who was that? With the 7 and 6 kills? 2 people on FaZe Clan holding up the board. I just noticed that as the scoreboard popped away. It's probably Astro, yeah.
Yeah.
As the scoreboard popped away, I only just glanced at it.
There was a couple donuts too as well.
Yeah.
Out of 3 rounds, surprisingly.
2 donuts on FaZe.
Because the top guys are taking all the kills.
And 1 breadstick. And it's just, it's a very lopsided match right now. On Yeah Gaming, we've got 2-1-1-0-0, I believe.
Yeah, it's almost binary at that point. Fortunately for Yeah Gaming. That's why they're at a 3-round deficit already on this map. And
yeah,
this is
it's been a struggle.
Yeah.
But yeah, FaZe Clan looking pretty dominant right now. Anyway, yeah, it has been a very interesting map.
Are they going for a Vigil roam? Should be interesting. That's one that sometimes we've seen work a little bit better than other roams on this map, but it's still a risky one to be playing, especially against a team like FaZe. There's that Blitz.
Blitz, an operator that's extremely useful in the current meta, going to be able to isolate, if nothing else, the strip club early on. And I mean, you know, you shouldn't expect there to be any roamers there, but you know, it's always nice to be sure, right?
Yeah, especially when you expose your back to that whole area. It does get cut off, though. It is one where they don't have any other way to rotate to it unless they do some really risky runouts. So it's nice to cut that off, just kind of like the west side on Oregon we were talking about earlier.
So we've talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. Unreinforced drop-downs on Clubhouse. Now, the argument for unreinforced drop-downs on Clubhouse is, oh, well, they're going to get them open anyway. But that really doesn't make any sense.
Especially when Hibana can clear.
It means that the Hibana can open up so much more. If there's, for example, a mirror window
or
that
ADSs.
the Hibana wants to open up, or if they want to clear ADSs, there are so many options now for FaZe Clan because Yeah Gaming effectively got lazy. And if it was deliberate, then it's just a misplay.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where maybe there was some strategy, but I like you said,
maybe
probably the wrong one.
Yeah. Because it's just you need to commit that hard destruction, else FaZe Clan can use it elsewhere.
Especially if you're able to kill the Hibana early.
Yeah, especially, yeah, definitely.
Well, they're stalled out here in this tunnel, unfortunately, for that Blitz.
Yeah, and there's only a minute left. GCR going to be pushing up that main stair. He's got Yuna to support him, I believe that is. It's a very dangerous play, though.
Yeah.
You see cameraman's ready for it and waiting. But FaZe actually don't have much control in those main stairs. Gohan gonna get GCR as he pushes all the way up. Yuna gonna get detected downstairs. He's falling back through the wall. Mav gonna look for some kills into blue. It's not gonna happen. Astro playing this long angle. You can see FK much more diligent now in blue. And he goes for an aggressive push. An exchange of bullets. Either player dying. Yuna elsewhere gets Gohan. It's back and forth with these two teams, but there's only 20 seconds. Here come the smokes, here come the EE1Ds. This is it, the final push coming from FaZe Clan. Yeah Gaming pushing very aggressively into the main hallway. FK inside of blue still, but full control over Arsenal in favor of FaZe. Yeah Gaming gonna be trying to get top floor control to retake from above. Mav gets a pistol shot onto Revolt. FK from above gets 2. Moringa will finally get Yuna, but Spawn's also trading it back. Cameraman in the site holds down the post plant. FaZe Clan put it on to match point.
I liked the idea of, like, we know how they're going to plant this. They're going to dump all their smokes and they're going to plant. And we're just going to run upstairs because they're going to be so over-focused on that. It was a great idea, but just they got 1 kill out of it and just couldn't turn that into anything else. They
got 2 kills out of it.
Yeah, well, it was just not very effective at that point.
I guess 3 actually, if you count the last one. But overall,
Yeah,
it was a nice try from Gaming, a good read. I agree with you there. But it wasn't enough. They need to have more actual hard anchorage in the site. They need to be able to hold Arsenal. Just something, an Echo drone, or Yokai drone rather, a C4 well placed, gas canisters well placed, anything at all to deny that straight push.
At that point, no one's bringing a Thatcher, like unless they're going to grenade down. You almost might as well just throw a bunch of Legion mines and hope that you delay the planting long enough from the planter dropping down onto a Legion mine. Just something, like you said, to at least delay it, to give yourself enough time to get an angle of some kind, because that's where they're really struggling, is they can't hold enough control in Arsenal to be able to at least fire into the smoke.
So, FaZe Clan has yet to lose so far on this map, and they're going to be going, this is such a common camera, it's going to get shot instantly.
Unfortunate.
I mean, maybe, maybe he's going for the mentality of like, oh, everybody knows this one, they're never going to expect this.
The bait camera, right?
It's the bait, yeah, it's the, oh, they couldn't possibly imagine we're going to use this camera. Anyway, FaZe Clan, as of course they haven't lost yet, they did defend the basement for the very first round of this map. So it's, if trend continues, this is going to be a 5-0.
Yeah, unfortunate. This is I mean, they picked Bank, so they got 2 points on it. They didn't pick Clubhouse, and we're seeing why. But nonetheless, Astro going to be trying that Vigil Roam, I think. Assuming we saw him upstairs earlier, but it looks like he might be changing his mind. We have seen the effectiveness of him playing on the stairs, really throwing off where he's possibly at. A Vigil on a stairwell is one of those ones that can kind of continually change positions even potentially in terms of where he's at to really throw off any droning that might be good enough to be like, oh, I can tell by the signal strength he's here. You can just completely throw them off on that.
Good information gathering coming out from Mav. Not going to be able to see anything, but that's information in of itself. Now he's going to be able to call one and bar. That's obviously FK, clearing out those drop downs. And there's just a lot of delay here happening for FaZe. I'm going to fall off those main stairs, obviously, given the fact that the EE1Ds are popping off. Don't want to give away any lives unnecessarily. Standard holds so far from FaZe. Ooh, a bad time push there from Moringa will cost him his life. Spawns, good timing on his part. And now that is Construction Tunnel in control of Gaming, more importantly, one-man advantage.
And that's one that does get better throughout the round as well.
Gaming has never had Construction Tunnel control so far. It's been mostly FaZe who've been putting an emphasis on that. And as the C4 misses from Gohan, this could very well be Gaming's first win.
They're definitely going to give it a try, but they're going to have to take out Astro at some point, or he's going to have to fail his attempt to try and help retake site. But he's pushing a little aggressively and does...
Gives away his position with the sound, but a nice shot there onto FK. The Habana goes down. Beautiful.
We'll see if that pays off for them, though. Still got to stick the site. Not a whole minute left for the attackers, but at least a grenade takes down Cameraman, and that's one less defender to do it.
EE1D pops. GCR, as you said, gets that nade as the player is standing still. I believe it was before the EE1D, but that's beside the point. Yuna gets another one onto Mav, and it's a 1 versus 4 as Astro goes down. And as he pushes into blue, Gohan will die, and Gaming will win their very first round in this map.
Well, good on them for finally adapting. I feel like just well-played firefights, and also some of the positioning just did not work out at all for FaZe, where they thought they had the advantage, and at least Astro getting some use out of that roam. But
so we've only seen one round outside of basement, and we're going back to basement yet again for Gaming since they have not been successful in the defense yet.
Unfortunate, as this is very likely to be the last round.
Well, I mean, every round from here on out is very likely to be the last round, unless Liao is going to win 4 in a row. It'd be a very impressive task against FaZe, considering how dominant they've seemed. It looks like last minute there, Gaming going to switch things up. Instead of going downstairs, they're going to opt to go to the bar stock room, which is, I honestly, I like this change. I'm glad that they're trying to adapt.
I mean, we'll see if they're able to actually really adapt as opposed to just changing bomb sites, but at least they're bringing a decent lineup for it, although we'll see what FaZe are actually going to do with that information. They still got a plenty good enough lineup to be able to attack this just fine. They've got the ability to open up the club side with the Thermite, use whatever they want to do with the Habana at that point. They could open the hatch from above pool, which we see Habanas do often. They can open that up from the roof, not have to actually get down there and get dirty to do it. and then be able to have plenty of control from top down from the buck to be able to open up the floor above and grenade down the common spots where for perhaps the Echo or one of the other defenders might be hiding. Nonetheless, though, at least with a pulse, they'll be able to tell where the attackers might be coming from. But as you said, this is a hard bomb site to just run across. So if they're not detecting anyone over there, he has to kind of be able to play between the two if he wants to try and detect on the other side, which is easier said than done, especially with Lion in the mix.
Revolt's lit up early in the round. Only 30 seconds have progressed here, and he's going to be in a bad spot. One bullet will kill him pretty easily from almost every gun. FK trying to hold inside of Strip, a dangerous position to play, especially against the lineup that FaZe is fielding. Of course, going to see Moringa open up that Strip wall, while Mav pushes in from this side hallway into Strip. There's not much that FK is going to be able to dispute from that blitz push. Spawn's trying to contest the front door, very dangerous angle, but take every advantage you can get if you can get it. Revolts is rotated now. He's moving up to Cash Room, and he's going to get a lot of information for his team.
If you can stay up here and deny a buck play, for example, that will be very helpful in at least preventing a stock take. But yeah, getting this information here, he did get docked back up a little as well. Setting up for a potential jump out here could be risky, though, and this is a situation where if they lose this round, then they're out. So they've got to make these plays very smart and have the right timing for it. As Astro is going to be moving up as well. He's going to get that information, but he can't fight hatches very well outside of trying to throw a C4 up for the most part. And there goes one defender down to the ground.
FK downed at the pool table stairs. Moringa going to finish him off, and now the attack is clear for FaZe. Yeah, Gaming going to start their rotations over towards the A bomb site and pool table alike, and that is going to be the primary focus for FaZe Clan. Blitz moving his way over to the Strip hallway. Now, he just needs to call out information for his team, positions of the defenders. He doesn't need to get too aggressive in this situation. As Moringa gets his second kill for the round, Yuna will be felled, and now FaZe Clan looking like they're ready to lock things out. Here comes the first EE1D to my recollection, and that is going to force Ya Gaming to stand still. C4 will miss from Revolt. That's unfortunate for Ya. And from above, you're going to see still Gohan laying down some fire. Astro gets one under Revolts. Gohan gets one from above onto Spawns, and it's all GCR. He will get a kill onto Gohan. That's very important, but he's full blind. Blitz just going to toy with his food, and Astro will finish him off, saying, no, okay, Blitz, it's time to end this map and this match. As a result, FaZe Clan will win out 2-0 in a pretty spectacular fashion. Very one-sided, especially on Clubhouse.
Well,
interesting that we got the elite animation there on the non-elite skin.
Yeah, well, you know, he was on fire.
He was on fire.
So he deserved it, right?
Well put.
I mean, look at that, 10 kills on there. Gohan also picking up a lot. Astro picking up a few as well, but, you know, at least they got out of the donuts there for cameraman and Mav. So not a surprising 2-0, but one where we did see at least put up a little bit of a fight on Bank and did get one round on Clubhouse. Surprisingly, not the Cash Room round.
I mean, the Cash Room was an interesting decision from FaZe. I'm super surprised that it worked.
They had the leeway to play around like that,
It was just the clutch. It was the clutch, and we've been seeing a lot of that from FaZe. Honestly, the score is very deceptive. It was 10-3 overall in favor of FaZe, but we saw many clutches from their team that, you know, could have easily been Ya Gaming rounds.
Yeah.
All that said, it is what it is. That's the result, and we do have one more match for you guys today. It will be Gassan coming back up here, or Milosh, if you're not familiar with his first name, and it's going to be Emzo who will be sticking around, but I will be taking a break. We'll see you guys in just a bit.
Uma bomba foi localizada. 4 a posto.
Desativador. Uma bomba foi localizada.
evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Latin America Pro League. It's, of course, day 2 in our second week. We've just gone through our first matchup. It was a bit one-sided, to say the least, Devin. 10-3 total score between our
It was more like a week 1 match, where we're usually seeing first seed against the 8th seed. So we've seen a lot of first matches go that way. This one, seeding-wise, maybe should have gone a little bit closer, but that was swift, to say the least.
Of course, to remind you again, that was FaZe playing against Yeah Gaming. It went 2-0 the way of FaZe, and they played on Bank and on Clubhouse, map number 2. Ended up a total of 10-3, and that's now basically done. Now we get ready for a second matchup. Of course, we always do 2 matches. We always do 2 best-of-3s, at least for this season.
Yeah, at least for the moment.
For the moment. Of course, our second matchup coming up is going to be BRK versus Team Liquid. BRK, who have not made it to 6 Invitational, like we said before. Of course, this is a different team than what you're used to if you haven't paid attention in the past 6 months. There have been changes. Teams have been swapped under the same organization.
Yeah, I mean, those of you who watch the qualifiers for Invitational may be familiar with most of the stuff, but obviously we had a long gap between seasons, so it's like, to us, these teams haven't changed up that much, but if you only caught the end of the last season last year, then yeah, there's been big change.
Yeah, there's a bit of a change. And it's a different team. They haven't been able to make it to 6 Invitational. However, they were supposed to play during the show match that we had.
Yeah, unfortunately, that didn't work out.
China. Yep. Unfortunately, it did not work out, and it ended up in having 4 players from other teams that were participating at the event, including.
I think it was mostly that ended up playing, if I remember correctly.
And only 1 player from BRK ended up making it to the event. Unfortunately for the team, for the organization. So, outside of BR6, they haven't really had a ton of playtime.
Yeah.
But Team Liquid, their opponents, on paper, they should be a very strong.
They had less playtime than they should have during Invitational, unfortunately. It was a little bit of a disappointment for a team that is under such a big organization that had a lot of faith in them. I think they let us down a little bit, and I'm hoping they can correct that today.
Yeah, hopefully so. And we've been seeing so many organizations jumping into Rainbow Six. You always mention this, Devin, like the support that you get off of your organization, especially some of them that have dozens of years in esports as pedigree. So it's still a lot of resources that can be directed.
I would hope they're using them as well, and we've talked about this with Mindfreak, especially when you go to an event like that. It's not just about playing and losing your matches. It's playing and losing your matches even against so many different other regions, and that's something you bring home with you. And Mindfreak have demonstrated that very well. So it's an example of how to lose in a way that just really benefits you as a team. And if they are using those resources, as you were mentioning, they should be able to be even stronger coming into this, knowing, hey, we should have done better. Here's what happened. Here's what didn't work. Let's work on that. We've got a couple of weeks, maybe at most. And they also have, as you said, BR6 as well to be able to practice that. So provided they were able to take those into BR6 and get some practice there, they can take this, going forward. Obviously, though, there is some visibility in that, and they will have shown off what they were going to be doing different. I believe they probably played this last Sunday. I don't remember the exact teams that played. But it's a case where going into this is a region that all knows each other very well. They all know what each other do. They all swap around a little bit between teams. So it's not a region where they're going to be bringing something that's just totally going to blow BRK out of the water. But again, it is a chance for them in this current meta where everything's shaking up constantly these first couple weeks to try something new. As we've seen, we even saw a cash room there in that last matchup. So there are teams trying to, and I was talking about FaZe bringing Think all the time. They did, absolutely. So teams are still, these first 2 weeks are where they really shake it up, where they try new things and see what works and what doesn't in this meta. And then by week 3, maybe things will have stabilized a little bit more, but right now it's still shake-up time because these are the first matchups for these teams.
It takes usually, because we play in a GSL bracket in the Pro League, at least for EUNA Latin America, then we get to a certain point where in the semifinals of that GSL bracket on each and every group, we get to a stable metagame. Yeah. Everybody's had the time to see how things happen in their region. In other regions, they've had their scrims. They've had a lot of time to test out new operators, new strategies. And that's when we can start to finally see a pattern not only emerge, but also stabilize. And you can keep predicting these sorts of runouts.
And I believe in this season, we're not going to have a heavy mid-season reinforcement that is going to change up the meta. I believe that was what was stated. So that being the case as well, the meta should hopefully stabilize more, but this has been such a crazy season for us. It's not, I mean, we have had operators in the past that have been very dominant. And like we had Blackbeard, we had Glaz, and those shook it up. We had Ella as well last season. So it's a situation where those were very strong plays, but they didn't shake up the other operators around them as much, other than with the exception of maybe the Yin Glaz combination, which was very short-lived. So I think this is the first season where we've seen it just completely scramble the pick rates.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part. Now, in Latin America, it's been a bit different than the other regions. We've seen with NA in terms of their pick rate, and tomorrow we'll see with EU as well. It's mostly, a couple of operators that are very, very high up on the charts, and then all the others are very close to one another, where teams will just build an operator group depending on what strategy they have for a certain round, and for a certain map, for a certain bomb set that they might be attacking or defending. Yeah. However, with Latin America, it's been very strongly specific operators that are being played all across the board.
It's kind of just a core now in terms of, I mean, we did used to have a core like going back into year 1, and then we had so many new operators.
Even
changed
in
it
the
up,
past year as well.
Yeah, and in this case, it's now Lion, Blitz most of the time, and then Glaz is also a strong one for Latin America as well, and those combine in a pretty mean way in terms of you got something pushing at you, bullets flying at you through smoke, and this dude that could just see you through the walls at that point if you move. It's not a great place.
Another thing I need to highlight as well is that we've been seeing both Heart Destructors for Latin America, with Thermite and Habana being played, which is not the case for NA.
And we saw Thermite in the top 5, which is somewhere he hasn't been as often, and it's a case where it's
since he had grenades, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of the pros going into the season, they talked about how hard breachers were actually kind of diminishing a little bit in terms of not feeling like you had to play the hard breach game in terms of opening up the site the same way and pushing in, because you had the ability to just blitz in or to be able to ying smoke, things like that. And it's a situation where Latin America doesn't seem to agree with that. They seem to think, you know, we want to open up the site as much as possible because we're going to have this dude with a shield just ram his way right in. And we've even seen Montaigne be part of that so far in the last matchup. Montaigne, I'd say part of the season more than we'd seen him maybe since even year 1
or shot with 44.
Yeah, he's been very strong this season, especially on a map like Bank.
I know Zoronic might be watching, and he knows what I'm on about when it comes to the abuse of the LFP. But let's take a look at our roster, starting off with BRK, of course. Novice, Diogo, Cyber 1, and PX. Of course, players that stand out, Diogo and 1, have been around for quite a bit of time in terms of Rainbow Six pro play in Latin America, and Brazil especially. So
going back to the last season, all the way back to season 3 of last year, which was, I guess you'd call it, what, season 6, they pretty much lost almost their entire roster. 1 was the only one to stick around, and we did go over this during qualifiers, but for those of you who weren't watching those, they pretty much changed up almost everything and replaced most of the roster with Merciless Gaming players. Yep. So you had Novies, Cyber, and PX all come from Merciless Gaming, and Diogo from Pain and things like that as well. And so 1 was the only one left from the original roster. So this BRK is not the same BRK we were used to, the one that is now became MOPA and then became Liquid, although they've had their own changes as well. And we will see their rosters. But
MOPA is basically a meme team within Latin American Pro Leagues. Between Brazilian teams, they just, you know, jump around when teams on the top level just don't have an organization to represent them for an event or a tournament, etc. They'll just jump on to their team on the ESL Gaming site, etc. But maybe we can take a look at their opponents to see what is hidden here, because it is Team Liquid, and so far they didn't play too badly 6th Invitational, but still very disappointing. As you mentioned, of course, it's Zig, Bullet, Sexy Cake, Nesk, and PSK. And you look at this, you're like, Zig, Sexy Cake, and Nesk on the same team? Yeah, holy Toledo.
And for those of you who were paying attention before when I mentioned Yuke being on a different team, Black Dragons in that case, which was a mistake, and I'd been thinking about Liquid. In this case, PSK is actually replacing Yuke, who had been on it previously. I think PSK is a pretty good player in terms of, I don't know if replacing Yuke was the best choice necessarily, but we'll see if it works for them. Didn't seem to work out for them in Invitationals, but they've had the time since then to gel a little bit more in terms of what Yuke was doing potentially for Liquid.
Especially being Team Liquid. So.
Exactly, and so they've got a lot to really represent here as a team, and I think they're going to hopefully find their stride here. Zig, I actually thought had been potentially not playing on the team, but he's definitely going to be here today for sure. So we'll see how that pans out, whether or not he hadn't been playing to his full strength, I feel like, in what we'd seen previously.
Yeah.
And I think that it kind of hurt Liquid as a whole, just because, I mean, he's not Nesk. Nesk is someone that originally we were hyping up a lot. He was doing amazing, and then he'd had a little bit of downtime, but that was very short-lived. Came right back strong. Very strong player on the team. Sexy Cake coming over from Encore had, I feel like, struggled a little bit at the beginning, but still picking up the frags, and I think he's still that much stronger on this team going into it.
Here's the point of view as well for Sexy Cake. A lot of players on the top level in Latin America, in Brazil especially, when you talk to Julio and talk to players like that, they'll tell you Sexy Cake is one of the most talented fraggers in the entire region.
He's also comfortable playing a lot of new operators when they first come out. And I think that's important to note because that shows his flexibility in trying to adapt on this team as well and trying to be what they need him to be potentially and try out these new operators. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on Vigil and things like that when we go into the round because he's just flexible like that. And I like to see players like that, players that are willing to take those risks. And because you know when it doesn't work out, they probably get a little bit of flack from the rest of their team. But you have to have a kind of a thick skin for that. And for such a good fragger to be able to be flexible like that, I think is important for a team going forward like this that has so much support behind it.
Yeah, and that's something that complements the way that this team plays because you look at Zig, you look at Nesk. Zig is definitely someone that will play a hard anchor, or at least around the site.
Especially on a pulse.
Yeah, whereas if you have Nesk, Nesk will 100% be your fragger, and then you have Sexy Cake that can play either one of the two roles and can basically flex between both of them depending on what you need and what is required for a certain site, for a certain map. Theoretically speaking, this is
on paper
the best kind of loadout that you can have for the entirety of Latin America. Basically, the only way to make it better is to add Julio in there.
Yeah. And
So,
we haven't seen how they've played yet because this is their first match of this season.
Yes.
So to keep in mind, we don't know how it's working out other than what we saw on Invitationals, but of course things have changed since then because obviously the Lion changes weren't in there and things like that. So every team's got to adapt differently in their own special, unique way to this new meta. And for some teams it works out better than others. And I feel like some of the teams are playing off their previous strengths better going into this, and some of them are really struggling to figure out how they fit in the current meta.
Well, we've talked about, you know, how teams have been adapting to different sites, operator picks, maps. Let's take a look at the maps that we're going to be playing on and which maps were banned out by who. I'll see everything flip around in front of us as Border, Chalet, Cafe, Consulate, Skyscraper, and Oregon will be banned. We'll leave this with Bank, Clubhouse, and Coastline.
Coastline's not the decider. I want to see some Coastline.
Honestly, look, at some point, we used to say this a year ago, oh, Coastline is not a good map. Oh, it's not a good map. It took people 6 to 8 months.
I didn't say that.
I correct myself. Everybody except for you and maybe Matt.
It's a good map though.
Yeah, literally like you and
Matt.
It's
kind of like Border in one that just takes a while, and it shares a lot of similarities with Border.
Honestly, Coastline I think is an extremely good map with all sites being feasible.
Some taking a little bit longer than others to be kind of figured out, I think.
Yes, especially if we talked about, you know, bar and kitchen in the past. It's completely different now. But let's take a look at our picks here with BRK going for Coastline first. Let's go. We're going to take a trip here away from the cold, and it'll be a bit warmer in the sunny side in Spain. Second of all, we'll go to Bank, and usually you'd go to the Bank first before going to Coastline. And then thirdly, if we need to go for it, it'll be Clubhouse to make the party
Bank, Clubhouse, like we just saw, potentially going to see them both again, but that really depends on one of these teams to make sure that it ends up a 2-1 situation. But how started off on Coast?
How feasible is that? Okay, let's theorycraft and enjoy things now, because let's remind you also, ladies and gentlemen that are watching at home, we work off of rebroadcast clean feed from Latin America, which means that the advantage here comes to the Brazilian casters, of course, Retalia and Meligeni, and in the meantime, they are interviewing the Brazilian players, which takes a while, which is why sometimes you'll see us talking for on and on and on.
We're interviewing each other.
We're basically interviewing each other about every single detail in the game. And, you know, I know somebody are like, yeah, get the game ready. We'd love to do that. However, interviews are happening, and unfortunately, my Portuguese is not up to snuff just yet. So
disappointed. That'll
be something to work on later. However, let's run through this.
Yeah.
BRK, how much experience do they have with what has happened in the past, 3 or 4 months?
Yeah.
Team Liquid as well. And then who has the advantage overall, and is it possible to see a map 3?
So, I mean, in this case, BRK are coming in with most. I mean, one was actually bringing a lot of the previous BRK experience, but one knows how Liquid plays because, well, he was part of this. Essentially, is BRK versus BRK at this point. So you have to think that one has some knowledge he can use in his favor here, but it doesn't always pay off. The rest of his team mostly comes from Merciless, so they have some team cohesion from Merciless from prior to that. But the question is, how does one fit into that, right? Because these guys do have some strength from playing together previously, but they also are trying to fit into a new roster. They have had more time to do so now. So I do think they are going to be a stronger team, but I do think they're also a bit more of a piecemeal team versus a team that's been together for quite some time and also has a lot of push behind it being part of Liquid. There's a lot of expectation on their shoulders, and having struggled a little bit more at Invitational, I imagine they're going to work that much harder to make sure that this is a 2-0 for them so that they go, you know, that was a fluke. We were just working things out. We're back. But I think some of that, they also struggle a little bit because Zig is a well-known streamer. And I think Zig is, as we've seen sometimes with some of these players where they're focusing a lot on streaming, can weaken their Pro League game just a little bit. And then having such a big off season, I think hurt that as well because he's going to be focused on that probably more so than scrimming and getting ready for that. At least they had invitationals to help and do some practice. And so those are some of the weaknesses up against each other. It's a question of who, in the meantime, since Invitational, has been able to really strengthen themselves off of those weaknesses that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about, you know, certain players that are very popular and they focus a bit more on their streaming part. You know, we have the same for some of the EU players, some of the NA players, and rare are the players that are able to kind of keep the competitive level as high as
Pengu is a good example of one that can stream quite a bit and still maintain quite a good level on competitive.
I mean, basically, Pengu, all he needs is pizza, and he'll play Siege for as long as it's humanly possible. That's basically Pengu. But like with other players we've seen with George, for example, like to highlight this, especially for me, maybe this is my own point of view and not shared with anybody else. But with that as an example, you see some of the competitive level drop a bit off after focusing a lot on streaming. And, you know, focusing on your own career personally as a streamer is very important. However, when it comes to competitive play, we're looking at two completely different sides of the coin. Even though it might look similar, it's definitely not this.
No, there are other things to factor in right now, though, in that a lot more players are needing to stream, partially for their own, you know, fame and whatever they want to do, but also because the organizations, the organizations, as an organization, your main function is to get exposure, and you're going to get exposure through your players. I don't want to say exposing themselves, but helping expose the organization and doing that through streaming and things like that. So I think this is something that it's interesting to bring up just because it's something that is going to start to affect more players. So,
all right, let's look at our community vote before we head into our game. So with here, it's Team Liquid 74% to 26 from BRK. Nothing surprising there, if I do say so myself. Team Liquid being a very popular team, and of course a very popular organization.
Slightly higher percentage than we had on the previous match.
A couple percent.
2%. That's all they get extra.
All right, so let's head into map number 1 in this best of 3 series. It's one of my favorite maps to play and watch. Of course, it is Coastline. It starts off BRK versus Team Liquid in their second match of our second day of Latin America Pro League.
So we're seeing that Dokubi's still not completely run out of the meta, still definitely useful. Obviously, Lion helps a little bit with that. Although it's a little tricky in terms of how you use it because there are pluses and minuses to making people stand still to answer their phones. Then they're also not going to be moving to be exposed to Lion. So timing between those two, I think, varies depending on how you want to use it. We still are seeing it. We saw it a little bit last match, and we're definitely seeing it now from Bullet. As I said, Sexy Cake would usually be the one to do that. He actually been playing Dokubi previously, but he's going to be on Zofia this time. And Ness going to be on that Glaz, which should be interesting. Zig going to be doing some work with his Lion. Fortunately, not for a moment, it looks like. There we go.
There we go.
Just took a second. But they are going to be getting set up to be playing, of course, Penthouse. No surprise there. We see this is the predominant bomb site.
This is what I like. I always talk about mirror setups because
the whole soft wall versus hard wall thing has been interesting on that particular setup right there.
It works very well with, of course, having a mute. I mean, we haven't been seeing much Twitch being
outside
played
of Astro
at all. Like, it's completely different to what we were used to before, where Twitch was almost an always pick.
Which is surprising because, like, popping the mirrors was such a big thing because then Mira is like a top pick as you saw earlier.
However, here's the thing: there's a mute now. You need not only a way to maybe counter mute, but to counter Lion,
Well, and that's why you see Thatcher such a high pick rate, too.
Yes, they all counter each other, and this is why we've been seeing
a wonderful
irregularities
shakeup.
without the, during the picks themselves. But there we go. We head in Sexy Cake on the Zofia here as he moves into Hookah, trying to find somebody early on.
There. That window is such a problem for this defense, and that's really the biggest weakness, along with Hall of Fame, in terms of defending this.
Yeah, and we've seen most teams be very successful in their pushes by taking control of Hall of Fame before pushing into the bedroom. It is so important because it cuts off all rotations from defenders and forces them to come in from one single spot. Have a Zofia on there as well and a glass. Yeah, there is no way you're going to shut this down.
Rotating through the hallway into VIP is very risky, especially if there's anyone watching from above. You're exposing yourself to the outside. Droning doing some good work as it gives a free kill onto Novis from the glass.
There we go. That is the first kill. Nicely done here as Zik will spot at the side. And we'll at least get the drop and the finish. And that'll be 1 out of play. That's 2 players now down for BRK. Team Liquid very much in control. Diogo still on the smoke, setting back, and even holding off the hallway and the main lobby stairs.
Great start here for BRK.
Yeah, PX sitting behind his mirror wall. He does have a soft wall to play around with below. It doesn't really force him too much out of position.
We've seen this before where they try and actually tear up the wall to destroy the mirror window instead of bothering to pop it. And we've seen it before with the Blackbeard. We're seeing with the Glass. I like that idea that you just get rid of that mirror without actually having to use a Twitch drone.
That's exactly what they're trying to do here. Nesk, speak in just a bit. There's still Cyber trying to find a correct angle with the help of his teammate. And of course, with the Lion E1D being popped, kind of forces the defense to stay back for just a second before they get rolling. And
call.
This is what they're looking for. Nesk runs in through the smoke, lands the shot on Cyber. Now he's waiting. He spots the mirror on the side, and they have the information from the drone. Now they just need the mirror to make the mistake. Well, Sexy Cake will get her out of her misery.
Oh,
and
no.
Diogo, he's detected. He's the smoke, and he is so far away, and everything's open. And Bullet on the Dokkaebi will just take him out. I don't think Team Liquid lost a single point of health in that entire round.
Yeah, they definitely worked all the angles in terms of getting people out of positions. I mean, it's such a typical place to defend that you got to know where the angles of attack are coming from, but a Glass is obviously very effective in making sure that any mistakes are quickly punished. But I like the pressure there. The mirror just stuck in that one little kind of doorway that was left there. All they had to do was just find another angle on him and keep him pinned in the meantime, because the slightest peek there, and Glass gets him. And it was an unfortunate place to be, and then, of course, getting spotted by the EU1D at the end there. He had nowhere to go at that point. It was just unfortunate that he was not able to actually get in some kind of good position to try and go for a retake while that Lion was delaying him. But either way, very strong start for Liquid, who is the team, I think, a little bit favored in this matchup, just slightly off the straw poll.
Now, here's the thing, though. I think it's fair to compare Liquid and FaZe being technically 2 of the best teams in the region. Sure, you can add in Black Dragons if you wish. However, between both teams, it's completely different ways of playing. Team Liquid are a team, as we saw in a previous round, that will get, they'll find one pick, then, 15 seconds later they might find another one. They are very methodical in every single one of their moves. They will drone out and assist their rushers to get their kills, but they're not as aggressive as we used to see them, early in year 2.
Yeah.
With FaZe, however, they're a team that will just, in 1 second, get 2 kills, and then they'll stop. They won't get over-aggressive, and then they'll get the other 3 in one foul swoop. It's a very different way of playing, and it really confuses your opponents in both sides, because you just suddenly find yourself alone, and, it's cold, you're disheveled, you're just sitting back, you're like, where did my team go? And everybody's dead.
So unfortunately, looks like we're going to have to wait to see what the result is. It was interesting to see it change up, though, in the setup. So, for example, we were talking about that soft mirror window, the one that was being shot underneath. Yep. In this case, they reinforced, and they're playing upstairs, even though the bomb site's actually below that in the kitchen, which is the second most popular bomb site. They're actually choosing to start on that. So they're setting up like a defense for Penthouse, but to defend above. It's very similar to, for example, defending Geisha to defend downstairs in Skyscraper, or defending upstairs in Border to be able to defend ventilation downstairs. So there's a lot of similarities to a lot of other bomb sites where you have to defend above, but in this case they're defending it, I think, a little bit smarter. Like you were saying, it's interesting to see the change-ups, but we saw what happens when you make it too soft. It makes it easy for them to just open it right up. And they also had a mute jammer on there as well to make sure, like, for example, you just couldn't have a hub on and take it out. So some interesting setup there. We unfortunately didn't get to see what the result of it was, but we do have some idea going into the next time.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, hard wall is just better than the soft one. And, you know, in most cases, it kind of is.
I think Liquid just demonstrated why it's risky to have the soft wall right there, and we've seen that in the past as well. I like the idea behind soft walls, and it's interesting. So one of the things to think about soft walls like that when it comes to mirror windows is how you want to use that. So one of the things people use soft walls for is because you want to be able to open up above it. You can't obviously do that with a hard wall because there's two ways to be able to throw and fight with a mirror window. One is to be able to lean to the side of it and to be able to fight through whether it be a wall or a doorway or something like that. The other is to be able to fight above it. And so you put it at, like, say, for example, crouch height on a soft wall. You have the ability to stand up and fight, to throw things over safely. And you also have the ability to potentially vault over it, something you can't do with a hard wall.
Very true.
However, in this case, being soft means the floor, you know, the bottom of it is also soft. And if they know you're playing the mirror window, it's just easy to shoot you in the legs. And with some operators, you know, not a big deal. You take a little bit of damage, you try and fight it. With a Glaz or a Blackbeard, you're taking a lot of damage to the legs, and that's pretty fatal pretty fast. And you saw what happened in the previous round. That mirror had to switch off to the only hard part left because they left the other wall soft as well. And that's why it's risky to do so. You have to know how your opponents are going to play to be able to play that safely, or at least have some kind of other external pressure so they can't just sit there and shoot it.
And that's why you see a lot of focus as well on the lounge and the VIP section.
Yeah, because that VIP gets taken over very quickly by attackers.
And if you lose that, then that soft wall suddenly becomes a lot riskier. But you have some technical issues on side of the clean feed that we have. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for our matchup. We'll keep you in tune as well with what's happening on social media. So keep in check with us, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are ready to go with our matchup. It's a bit of an issue with our clean feed. However, we'll be continuing exactly where we were previously. So we were on round number 2 on Coastline. So we're just going to head right into that and go in here as it's BRK that are now on the attack, and they do go for the glass. This definitely is a highlight for the region.
Yeah, Cyber especially a really good glass player. Unfortunately misses that shot despite the ping coming out on it, but nonetheless still going to stay alive just fine up here. Doesn't necessarily need to get the kills right away, but that would have been nice. But he is one of the better glass players in Latin America, of which there are many. So we'll see if he can get some kind of pick from up there. They're probably not going to expose themselves too often, though, to that angle, as they've got to know there's a glass coming. But then we're going to the Blitz pushing his way into VIP shortly, and then taking control probably of Hall of Fame to help this push here. Possibly also a flank from the hallway. Cyber going to be droning it first, though, just to get some idea what he's looking for. They're going to get some. And then there's the old hatch open from Glaz. It's so nice to have that level of destruction from him, so you don't necessarily need to bring a buck or something like that just for a hatch or a sledge.
Yeah, it basically fills multiple roles at the same time. You know, you can snipe people across the map. You can use it to destroy soft walls. You can do whatever you want, basically.
Yeah, and again, they're attacking the top floor, but the actual bomb site is below it. Yep. So I like that angle by Cyber actually working his way from above. The Lion gonna make
it gets so close. Oh, here we go.
Right to the dome.
Gets the kill on that sexy cake out of play on the mute. You see the run out here from one who has spotted his Jaeger, well, the Jaeger in front of him, and he will just fall back. PX in the meantime is just maneuvering. And, you know, Team Liquid, they're happy wasting time, but BRK are basically, they're basically taking as much time and as much space as humanly possible before ever even caring about this.
And they've got a window open now and one man advantage. So they definitely can execute on this, but yeah, they've spent so much time taking the top floor, taking their sweet time on it, especially with the Glaz, for example, being outside, but he's the one who got the one kill, so they just need to turn this top floor control into taking bomb site.
Cyber still looking in for a shot that we've seen before through the drone hole into the kitchen stock, if you will. Haven't been able to find anything just yet as Bullet has remaneuvered. But Novus just running in right behind the Blitz, gets the headshot. That's Bullet. One bullet to get shot down, and all three players are now going to be rushing in right next to the mirror. Nest sets up, and he won't open fire just yet. As you see the trade here, Smoke's going to get popped, as well as the second one, as Nest will get the kill, but the diffuser will get planted. 3v2 with a lot of damage done to one, but with him being alive and the crossfire being so strong for our attackers, it's a lot of work for Team Liquid to do. And here we go, that's Cyber getting one more to pad out the stats, and now it is the scary train, as you and Michael were mentioning before. PSK can switch to possibly the shotgun here and get some shots, but you know, when you have to deal with a Blitz, at some point you just give up, roll over, and in this case, die.
Yeah, Blitz Glaz was entirely just dominating that particular round because the Blitz was able to run freely. The Glaz was able to get the picks and just get that plant down. As you said, they took their sweet time getting there, but they got all the control that they needed to execute it on it. And BRK proving, despite a really strong start by Liquid, that they also can attack just as well in this current, I would say, attack-sided meta. And is up to one of these teams now to figure out how to defend. We saw two different bomb sites, though. So we know that Liquid's not the greatest defending the top floor when that's not the bomb site. So it'll be curious to see how they're able to defend it again this round. Or the next round, I mean. The next time. I imagine they're probably going to go upstairs because the bottom floor just didn't work out. But
yep.
I guess they could go down there again since they lost it. But it's just...
It was just very different than normal setups that we would see. A lot of teams would go directly through the main door or from the main lobby or even all the way from the back. However, with here, they committed so much to just cleaning up the entire top floor and then going off picks into the lobby and into the site.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Obviously, BRK not switching downstairs yet. They want to take another crack at the top floor first, see how they can do it. Again, it looked like they went with the soft wall with that window, which we saw not work out so good before, but they are going to try and just slow down the push with that castle, open up some angles in the walls as well. See if those mute jammers help stop some of that push, but I'm not sure that that's really going to be the big difference here for this team, as we saw just them get decimated last time without losing a single member of Team Liquid. So they've got to figure out something drastically different rather than just hope they can win their gunfights a little bit better. There's that Glaz power.
Yeah, he's going to set up yet again in the same spot on the ventilation up here and just try and get some sort of clear shot, or at least try to help out with any support that his team might need. Nobody speaking out just yet, and you know what? Nesk is just going to sit back, and allow his teammates to take control. It's just part of the map control checklist before you get down to a final push.
Yeah, you want to control that window so that entire center of that room is non-maneuverable, and that's really important because their ability to rotate from one bomb to the other and be able to get to Hall of Fame is important in terms of map control, because if you can stop them from rotating from the other bomb site to the actual Hall of Fame side, you can actually take control of that and force them, as we were saying earlier, to rotate hallway instead.
And also, you'll know that there's only one spot that they can rotate from.
Yeah, that doorway and VIP.
Yep. Well, so far, so calm.
I like how he at least had the glass on the window, or not the glass, but the castle on the window to prevent glass from doing anything other than poking little holes.
That's why a lot of teams have been going for the castle. It just slows the aggressiveness, but
not from PSK.
Not from PSK. Apollo will get the first kill on one, and that's, again, the mute taken out. In a previous round, it was the mute as well. And here, Sexy Cake will fall to Novi's. Not the greatest start for Sexy Cake today. Cyber with a quick spray into
That's the second round in a row where Sexy Cake was the first to fall. Last round as well, unfortunately, just maybe not warmed up just yet.
Not warmed up just yet, but here Nesk is just utilizing the same strategies that we explained before. Basically, pop the mirror window, and you see Bullet just going ham. Now, there's a reason why he hits it once and then pulls back, because a lot of teams, well, sometimes what they'll do is tap it just enough to be like 1 or 2 hits away from going down.
Or Castle has his impact nade, just pop it right open.
So there's many tricks that you can use and do with your Castle barricade. However, here there's nothing of the sort, and Bullet will just have to go through it. PSK, he uses his last Kairos to burn ADSs so that they can use flashbangs, or maybe it was a mistake, but it's probably because they wanted to use.
Yeah, they got smokes as well.
That's exactly what they wanted to play for. Zig will get the kill on Cyber, playing super well on the line so far. PSK will get the second one and move into the side of the bed here in the bedroom. Diogo and PX, the last 2 alive, and headshot from Bullet. That leaves only 1 alive. Diogo, he will get spotted as PSK goes in for the defuse plant. Shotgun in hand, and he's waiting for any push coming in from the main bedroom here, but they don't even need to care about him. It's his job to push out and go for the comeback. And you know what? PSK adds just more stats onto the board as he takes down Diogo and puts up Team Liquid 2-1.
They commit so much resources to setting up that mirror window, but all that Liquid seems to have to trade for it is a smoke and a few bullets from glass. It's just completely ineffective in doing anything other than distracting them for a minute and letting them know when glass is there. At that point, they might as well just commit a castle barricade to that door if you want to know when someone's coming. It's just not effective because they're able to get the smokes there. They're able to just shoot through the smoke so that glass can just do it completely uncontested. And it's, again, not effective. They really need to just reinforce it at that point, or play a different site, or play that site differently.
It's a full repeat of what we had before. At this point, I think it's just the way that they're playing it that does not work out at all. Their operator picks force them to play very passively. Yeah. However, with this kind of attack, you need to have, some sort of Legion, and Ella maybe even putting in place.
Well, especially when they've got the aggressive between the Dokubi, the Glaz, and the Lion, they're going to be able to push you pretty aggressively.
And here's the thing: we always say, especially with this meta, yeah, there's a lot of counters. However, when it comes to roaming, when you need to hold one hallway and one room, that is definitely something that you could pull off.
Yeah. We are going to see Liquid actually going to a different off-bomb site downstairs. They're not going to go for Penthouse at all, seemingly, thinking, well, this is everyone knows how to attack this. We're going to play the different bomb sites. We're going to play the smarter bomb sites. So they're actually going to be Sunrise Blue, which I think is a little bit harder of a room to defend, just because the exposure to the outside, there's multiple windows and doors leading into there, and that can make it a little more difficult, not to mention you have to deal with the issue from people being able to come from the kitchen, which is not too hard to access as well. So I think it's a difficult bomb site to defend, but there are good strategies for it, and we'll see if Liquid can defend this one at least a little bit better than they did on the other bomb site, which just they were not able to defend that kitchen whatsoever.
No, PX on the outside so far, so passive, we say so passive, but then again, this is Latin America. We're used to Latin America within the first, 45 seconds, 2-3 kills happening. And
yeah, especially right now.
It's very different than what we've been, used to in the past. However, we see the setup from BRK along the outside of the bar, as here they're going to be using.
I like the deployable shield there. Interesting, like just a way to be able to play that hatch a little bit differently. I feel like deployable shields over the last 6 months have been interesting in terms of people using it. Oh, that was
Oh my
close.
God!
He felt, I think
Butt
he lost a few
clenching.
hairs.
That is definitely butt clenching right there. Zig will set up, and he's going to be changing around to his yokai as he remaneuvers it, and will use the smoke to his advantage. Cyber just standing in the smoke. What are you doing, my man?
As you're saying, use the smoke to his advantage. I think PSK's using the smoke to his advantage at this point.
Oh my God!
Unfortunate for Cyber, who just did not realize that he was getting secondhand smoke as well.
They lose the glass, which is what they've been relying on to support the blitz and his push. And now with all 5 players in Team Liquid alive, they can definitely try to stop this. Sure, they don't have a Legion maybe to play around with it, but with the way that Echo's been playing here, Zig, he can definitely set up his yokai drone in a favorable position, and they can take down one very easily using it.
Yeah, there they go. He's setting up for it. He's got to distract this blitz, though, in the meantime. And unfortunately, he's going to have a lot of pressure. But I think PSK is in a good position to be able to help with this. If he's able to be on his yokai drone and do some stunning, then the smoke can get the angle from the side and catch that blitz off guard, potentially, once he gets stunned. However, the Lion's going to make that a little bit harder to do.
There we go. They're going to spot out the smoke in the back, and one will take even more damage from the gas canister. Novice just running around until he can push in. Now, Zig cannot set himself up in the same position as you saw before. Right at the front of the bar, has to stick behind it because of the open window. And you see the last E1D will get played with 22 seconds on the clock. One has already penetrated into the sun bar, as PSK will get one. PX will refrag, but Sexy Kick is ready. Novice will fall to the floor. It's 2 alive. PX with barely any HP left. Diogo going in with the Lion, holding off any rotations, but Zig is down, and for some reason they just jump right into here. PSK will go down, but Sexy Kick and Bullet are ready to clean up with the last 2 kills. And Team Liquid successfully defend the bars here downstairs. And, you know, using the smoke and also the mistake from the glass to just stay in the smoke, because you can't see the yellow part when there's a smoke grenade already there.
I want to point out something we don't necessarily see as often, or maybe just don't catch on the spectator cam. Smoke was standing on a mute jammer. They specifically had set it up to give him the range to be able to play against those Lions, so he could fight that angle as uncontested as possible, so that they wouldn't know when he was going to peek, except for with the glass. And he was the one to take the glass off the board, putting himself at a total advantage if the Lion was still alive, in being able to fight as long as he was. And that's why, part of why he was able to. I mean, obviously he could have stood still as well, but I like the forethought in trying to give him that extra protection because of how important he was to the defense. And that's a bomb site that I said was hard to defend because of the exposure to the outside, but they actually played into that by saying, okay, go ahead and come on in then, and smoke here will just make sure that your stay is unwelcome. And obviously Zig did live probably a little bit longer than he should have at sometimes behind that bar, playing very risky on an Echo. Usually an Echo, someone should be playing deeper in sight, so that he can play a little more safely, but he was playing a very aggressive upfront Echo and depending on the smoke to cover him for as long as possible so he could sit safe on that bar. Otherwise, it would have been an easy push. If it had been just Echo by himself, I don't think he would have lasted very long at all. I mean, they did have the rotate hole that we saw, for example, them come through at the very end, but still, it was really dependent on good teamwork there, and that's why Liquid's up 3-1.
Indeed, BRK just seemed to fall apart at the seams in our previous round. You know, beginning, of course, with the mistake of the glass we highlighted. And now we are in round number 5 as Nesk is on the glass. Bullet yet again on the Dokkaebi. Just seeing Zig on the Lion, who's been performing excellently on the Lion, I have to say.
Yeah, that's people, I mean, I tend to think it doesn't take any skill in it. I mean, depends on you define skill in terms of using it, but timing is definitely something I would consider skill along with team coordination. And the better you can do that, the more powerful you are as an attacker in this game right now with the way everyone's playing it.
What I like is the Legion being picked up from BRK on Novice, and they were definitely expecting a shield maybe, though it's not the case here. We've seen Zofia being picked more and more often, almost overshadowing Ash, very much overshadowing Ash.
Something me and Kix were talking a little bit earlier before the game started as well is how this is such an intel-driven meta right now in terms of the attackers, and I think it then points to Legion being a good counter-intelligence because he's also able to get intel on the attackers, and that makes their pushes a little less effective because defenders only have Valkyrie cameras for the most part to be able to get extra intelligence because they don't have drones outside of Echo, which we have seen played quite a bit as well. So between Echo and Legion, you have a lot of ways to get intel on the push. I'd say Valkyrie as well, but it's still up and down in terms of picks and common spots that get spotted. And we haven't really seen much IQ, though, from Latin America. So they're definitely not spotting it that way. But again, all that
IQ
intelligence.
IQ definitely being much more played in North America, especially on maps like Cafe. We're seeing a decent chunk of IQ as well, even in the past for EU. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something that has been, or an operator that's been played a lot more often in other regions.
He's still got 2 goo mines left too.
Yeah, and then that's the important thing. Again, Legion, the more time you survive, the better it is for you and your team, because you always start off with setting up your goo mines on the exterior, and then bit by bit you bring it in towards your side here. Cyber is going to get sprayed through the wall, but he takes no damage through it. I believe there was a hard wall maybe right behind it, and Sexy Cake will set up his Claymore. Now, losing Nesk, not the best of starts, remember?
I like that it was the Glaz main killing the other Glaz player.
Yeah, and we saw that in the previous round where Glaz was the first to fall. Now Zig moves in. Bullet will get the frag here on PX. One is very low on HP, but there's 30 seconds on the clock, and Diogo is still alive. He hasn't popped a single one of his smokes yet. So there's a lot that they can use to delay him. Bullet, 1 shot, 1 kill. Cyber will go down. And that's both the Mira and now the Mute going down, as well as the Legion. Diogo last man alive with 16 seconds on the clock. And that is the flurry of kills we talked about before. PSK will get 1 as Diogo getting very low on HP. And the Fuser is on the ground. They will pick it up and go in for the 1v1 fight. Unfortunately, the line would drop, and now he has to reload. Unfortunately, Sexy Cake will run in. Angle Grit 762, it's just super easy to ADS, lock onto your target, and just open fire, especially when the Lion had popped the E1D right before falling to the floor.
Well, that is a good use of that. Leave your legacy behind in a situation like that.
Yeah, you always use the last E1D for the final push.
Yeah, it's nice because you can set up. I mean, 3 is probably too many at this point, just because you could pop 1 for roamers, you could pop 1 for the plant, and you could pop 1 post plant to prevent retake. And we're seeing the strength of that, assuming you keep your line alive that long. But it's interesting to note that BRK did realize they couldn't defend the top floor successfully, so they changed their mind and rotated downstairs. Neither team successfully defended the kitchen so far. But that means BRK can't defend either site well. So unless they've got something else up their sleeve, this is probably over soon, if not this round, the next round, the way Liquid's been playing.
Well, Nesk will even reinforce the top media room, and he might just set up right inside of it.
Oh, I want to note as well, PSK, like I said, the newer member of the team, definitely holding his own on this map.
Definitely so. It's a bit of a comfort map for some players. Depending on which role that you're playing, here's playing in the smoke. Of course, with how difficult we've seen it has been for BRK to push back the smoke for Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something.
Yeah, he absolutely did a key role with that, the previous defense of Sunrise Blue. But now we are actually seeing them play Kitchen again. Gonna give that another try, despite winning it very easily last round. There we go, some interior decorating here going on as they decide those pills are a little too gaudy. He's just going to chill there instead. That is a spot we commonly see some players like to take advantage of because you're very well hidden to people who are just
and you're very comfy.
That's the important part, is if you're going to be there for a good minute or so, you
got to be comfy.
Not to mention he's probably already done his job setting up his cameras, so that is something he can absolutely take advantage of. And that's what you really want to do. Keep in mind, though, you can't hear anyone coming in if you're on your cameras. So if they can catch him on the cameras, they could get the kill. But otherwise, he'll have the advantage of surprise there.
All right, Diogo on the line. One has already taken a bit of damage on the blitz. As Team Liquid need 1 more round to finish this and bring it into map number 2.
I like the outbreak charm there. That's nice.
Yeah, it's the one that you get for taking down a lot of the bombers, right?
Good for him.
Yeah. A lot of people have been playing Outbreak, which is good. It's fun. We always take the game extremely seriously, especially in Pro League, which is how it's supposed to be. But it's always fun to play a bit of Outbreak with your friends. But E1D will get popped as Novice moves bit by bit and inches his way near the kitchen. Does not find anybody just yet as Nesk will set up. Yep, that is the final black eye being set up. A Cyber will just open fire through to ease 1 in. 1:34, and they finally are able to enter into the Hall of Fame. This is taking way too long.
Yeah, especially considering that's not even the bomb site. Like, with only 1:30 left, even if you take the top floor here, you still got to get downstairs. And we saw how much of a problem that was previously when Liquid attacked. It took a while to get down there, but it's just, this is not really working out.
I'm not sure they have any E1Ds left, but here we go. That's Team Liquid that'll get the first frag, and that's Novi's the only player that was holding off close to the site that got just taken down. The Jaeger will get the second as Diogo lands 1 on Nesk, taking down the Valkyrie, but that's not the end of the world. As Cyber runs in, makes it 3v3. 54 seconds on the clock is now engagement 1v1 in the media room as Cyber is forced back to reload. Wanting to peek in and just sprays through. He's spotted as well and takes a bit of time to angle it as bullet on the Jaeger will land the kill.
Unfortunately, with 40 seconds left here and losing that many people in this attack, I do not see it being very likely that they're going to push in, but Diogo is at least trying to prove me wrong, and Bullet is low on health. So there is that. This could be possible, but they're going to have to push very quickly here and use those Lions.
Yeah, and there's no more E1Ds to play with, so they have to come in blind. And the Thermite might just run right into Zig here as he peeks in, and Zig tags him. He sprays through the wall, and he's unable to get the kill. And with barely any HP, PX will run in. And it's very important for Zig to not get over-aggressive. They need to use Bullet in this top-down configuration to get the kill before PX drops it down, but it's not looking like it's going to work out here. No more C4 in the hands of our boy Zig as he will fall to the hands of Diogo. And Bullet, with so little HP, now has to clutch it versus PX and Diogo. All it would have taken was one bullet on PX. Now let's see if Bullet can set it down where it was supposed to go earlier. He's going to spot out the Lion on the side as the open mirror window runs right into it. And PX with the crossfire gets the kill. And BRK go up for the second round here. This is definitely a round that started very well for Team Liquid, but the fact that the Lion was able to push through all those lines and unfortunately for Zig was not able to get the kill on the Thermite as he crossed over. If he gotten the kill, it would have been run over.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate BRK for proving me wrong there. I love to see a situation that looks completely dire like that, just totally turned around due to some good plays, mostly by the Lion there, just pushing in very aggressively and winning those fights that he needed to, and then of course holding that nice tight angle, giving Thermite just enough time to plant, because obviously had they been able to kill him, Thermite had just a whiff of health left, wouldn't have lived long enough to put the plant down or even guard it. But yeah, good crossfire there at the end, really won the day, and obviously the mirror missing did not help in that. But that only puts BRK up to 2, and they're still at match point here. So like I said, if it wasn't going to be that round, it might just be this round, as we are going to see BRK trying to defend the bomb site they have yet to be able to succeed on. So we'll see if they can change things up. They've had 2 tries now to figure out what they're doing wrong. Hopefully they figured out the softball thing, not working out their advantage unless they have a more creative way to defend that. So they're going to have to shift things just a little bit if they do not want to be moving right on over to bank.
Just please, none of that Mira softball shenanigan, because that's definitely not working out. There we go. They'll set up the second one to watch the hallway. So this, I can get behind.
Yeah, well, hopefully they can't get behind it as the attacker, otherwise obviously not going to be as useful. But look at that, just a little spawn peek on the drone at least. Fortunately for him, the pool party, no one coming to at the moment.
Yeah, we left that pool party at 6 Invitational, and unfortunately here won't be able to find much out of it. And
No
Cyber,
knife fights today.
No knife fights today, unfortunately, and Cyber
Ooh,
will
I like the little peek.
have to fall back. But you know, he's still waiting for
He's
a
still
peek.
going to be a thorn if he can. He hasn't even used any of his batteries yet, too. So hopefully, at least his cell phone's charging, because he's not doing anything useful outside of this.
What's interesting is how they set up the mirror window. Sure, we saw the second one, but the first one is actually set up on a softball yet again.
The Bandit not even going to be able to contribute to that then, other than to the one at least on the wall facing outside into the hallway. He can at least help with that one, but he needs to get back to site. Nearly almost gets shot in the face by Jaeger.
Yeah, here, if you're Team Liquid, all you got to do is just play the same way that you were before. That's basically it.
Yeah, easy win. And as I say that, though, a minute has been burned off, and thanks to Cyber delaying them a little bit and getting away with it, and Doc restoring his health, I gotta say that probably helped a smidge in terms of burning off some time. But with the dominance we've seen on this attack, I don't know if time was really the problem for Team Liquid before. Just, I think guns were more of the problem for BRK at this point, as they just are again being able to take the control that they need to. Just gonna push their way in, take control. That's the jump out.
Oh no!
What
He'll drop one now. Turns around with the SMG-11 or SMG-12 here. Can't get the kill as they will refrag 1 for 1. They lose out Nesk, and that was the important part of their push. However, from above is Zig that'll trade things out, as you say. Now we'll get the frag here to take down Cyber. That's both the Jaeger and the Bandit removed, and all 3 will now have to stick to the site with 1:10 on the clock.
Well, the mirror will be a little more effective now. Let's put that out there.
Honestly, you have a Zofia.
Yeah, just hit the bottom of it with the grenade, unfortunately.
It's done.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they do that. I mean, he is a little more focused on the bathroom at the moment, but he can rotate around.
Oh, is he actually going to use it? Is he actually going to go for the pickup on the phone? That'll be something that we haven't really been seeing too much of.
Yeah, we'll see. He does have one phone call left here. His lifeline phone call to a friend. So 2 Lions left as well, but only 36 seconds.
We'll see who wants to be a millionaire at the end of this one here.
Diogo definitely trying, but his camera's actually been hacked.
Yeah.
There we go. We rarely see that.
Bullet actually hacking the cameras here, and we'll take control of the full passive, if you will, of our homegirl Doki Doki. And Sexy Cake will get the kill on Diogo and might just go in for the kill on that mirror window. E1D will get popped, but there's 10 seconds left, and Sexy Cake gets one more. And there we go. Zig will end it at the finale here with the Lion, he's been playing so effectively on the Lion, I have to say.
Yeah.
He cleans up both the Doc and the Mira, making this a 5-2 victory for Team Liquid. And so far, so good.
For Liquid, that is.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately for BRK, that was their map, and they got 2 whole rounds off of it. I appreciate seeing it, but I don't think BRK is going to be appreciating going to Bank. We saw what happened when tried to take a good team to Bank, and unfortunately for them, they were the ones withdrawn, and that was it. That was just 2 rounds for them, similar to what we're seeing here, picking the map and then getting 2 rounds on it against a strong team. So I don't think this fares all that well for BRK to be able to pick things up on Bank, but nonetheless, they do seem like a scrappy team. They just seem like one that can't seem to adapt super well. I feel like their only adaptation that round was, let's jump out at them more, let's spawn peek them more.
That doesn't work when you're playing against Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's the reaction, because you are playing against a team with Sexy Cake and Nesk on it.
Yeah.
If there are people that know how to do all of this and how to counter it, it is definitely them. But we'll see how things fare out on Bank on map number 2 in this best of 3 series. Of course, Liquid taking map 1 on Coastline, and we'll bring it, they might be able to bring it home, that is, on Bank.
Yeah, I was thinking this was going to be more of a 2-1 sort of match, but I'm leaning a little more towards a 2-0 with how we've seen Liquid play so far on the map that was not their map pick. I feel like we used to say the opposite all the time. Like, it used to be the case where people were winning each other's maps all the time. I feel like now we're seeing that more so just when they're winning both maps, less when people winning each other's maps. I'm not sure if that's just that the maps have been around longer and longer and longer, and we have less new maps, because maps like Theme Park and Tower are not in rotation. So Coastline's really the newest map that we have still in the map pool, and Border is such a staple now that like me and Kicks.
You won't even consider it.
No, it's a classic at this point. It's really ingrained because it was the very first DLC map, and while it took about a season to really kind of get into, people really got the hang of it fast, and Coastline's starting to kind of come up there as well. It might just be a new classic by next season.
Yeah, you talk about the maps. Of course, we're going to have a rework of Clubhouse for the next season. We're going to have a rework of Hereford Base, so that might be a thing that we'll get to see more in Pro League. So, hey, I can't wait for next season, but for now, they have to adapt with the same maps that we've been playing with for pretty much the past year.
Yeah. Speaking of map-specific things, here we're going to see the Jackal come out again. This is something that is not new to the meta. This is something we've been seeing since, well, very early seasons when Jackal first came out. We saw teams bringing the Jackal pretty consistently because this was a map where it really benefited them.
It was the first map that he was deployed, even.
Yeah, it was really it was the first one where he was considered worth using. And we've seen him slowly being brought to other maps. For example, Canadians really keen on bringing him to a lot of maps from North America on Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, Clubhouse especially. Of course, you get both smokes. The C7E has barely any recoil.
And he also kind of replaces the buck, which I think is an interesting choice considering how powerful grenades are. But nonetheless, I guess we should bring it back to this map here, as they're going to be attacking the bottom floor. No surprise there. But Echo is not able to actually sit outside. They've taken the garage from him. Something we were talking about last matchup where Echo was hanging out in the garage fairly frequently. But in this case, they've decided to park themselves in there and leave nowhere for him to run. So he's potentially going to have to play back in the vault or elevator, somewhere a little more secure. He's going to try and do so and deny as much as he can, but they're still setting up from the looks of it. Unfortunate for the defenders who are getting pushed out.
This might be a quick rush here as we see the Yokai being used, the Thermite running in the 1v1 against Nesk with the Mirror, the Vector here, winning out to a headshot, and that is PX on the floor. And that's, well, no, not the diffuser at least for this time. You usually see the Thermite running in. Now, they will be able to get 2 kills off of this, the C7 and the 762 getting a frag each here. And the Bullet just waiting up top, but it's Cyber ready for him that'll take him out, turning it into a 4v2, but Nesk with so little HP, there's not much that he can do, and of course the Smoke is a technical operator. You're not really expecting him to get all the frags, but you see Nesk that will get one, drop the diffuser before falling back. This can work very well if they can just guard the diffuser, but there is so much time that BRK can burn through, and they can use their Lion charges, but Zofia and Lion are low on HP.
Nope, there is the end of that. It's not looking good for PSK. He has been good at denying before, and he does have the denial gadget, and 3 of them to boot, but they know where he's at.
3 players that are so low on HP, and Diogo trades off as he goes to the floor, but will land the headshot first on PSK. That was definitely doable, especially with a Smoke, but you see the angle that was held? That is not... basically, both spots were held. You want to push the Lion? Sure, but you know he's ready for you.
Yeah.
You want to push on the other side of the vault and try to run down the hallway. Well, there's already a Jackal waiting.
I feel like one of the big reasons that push worked, and they were able to secure that round, was it's so unconventional. How often do we actually see a full push from Garage? Almost never.
Never. I've never seen this in the past year.
And what was great about it is you saw their entire setup was facing into CCTV, right? They were completely set up for that. And you saw how much Mir was having to open up the wall and completely adjust and rotate. Echo was forced out. It completely countered their whole setup by being a complete 90-degree flank from it. So that was really just well played. I don't know if that'll necessarily apply in the future. They may be a little more ready for it, but forcing them to have to consider 2 totally different angles could really pay off. Now we're going to see probably a more conventional attack, the Montaigne strategy that we saw a couple of times last match between FaZe and Ya, which did not actually work for the most part. It just got stalled out every time, so.
This is a different mirror window. Now, usually you see it on the left side compared to being on this right side, but because they opened up the entire, the entire wall, the right side wall facing into CCTV, well, they can immediately just shoot through that, and they'll have the Mira setting up to go for a C4 throw. Of course, your C4 throws can be very, very long if you know how to do them correctly.
Especially with the new throwing system that they introduced a little while ago.
With momentum,
kind
yes.
Yeah, where you can kind of just push forward a little bit. Got to be careful of Lions in the mix in that case, but they are getting set up here. The Montaigne going to be going through the sewers. He's going to be getting set up for what we saw previously where he goes to push for CCTV there. He's already at the door of CCTV. We've got PSK setting up now. He does have to deal with the fact that it's a soft wall, so he's just Montaigne's going to try and watch that angle for him.
Yeah, some
teams going to contest that.
Some teams, what they like to do is to blow up the sides of this wall.
And that certainly worked when we saw it last match.
Yeah, at 6 Invitational, we also saw it, where you would only... you take down the parts of the wall where you know that there were the wooden planks.
Up, yeah.
Yep, and then with those, you can't actually put your thermite charge on it, and then you have to bring a buck or an operator like that, or sacrifice a lot of bullets, or maybe if you're lucky and have a Jackal on it. But
I think Novice is going to be important to this because he's the vigil on the roam to try and go for a flank. He's going to have to get around behind him on the server stairs, which they may not be guarding. Sexy Cake again, just falling.
Oh no!
Here. What is going on with these guys in smoke? Does it disable their keyboard? They just seem to get stuck in it every time, and that, ooh, there we go. The flanks coming out here.
2 kills here for BRK, and well, you know what? Make that a third as Liquid are left with only Zig alive. The E1G's been popped. He sees everybody, but he's still low on HP. And now he uses the mirror window to his advantage, but no. Diogo with barely any HP will win out. The round is already won. Is tapping away onto the fuser and will be able to take it out. Well done.
So,
is that an extended barrel?
It could be. Oh, is he trying to get tricky? Yeah, it looks like it.
It is.
Big old
oh my
fishing
god.
rod.
Oh my god. Extended barrel on a UMP. Oh my lord.
Did they win the round? They sure did.
Oh.
Well, nonetheless, so far I think today, if I remember correctly, we're 0 for 4 on the Montaigne strat for that. We saw, I think it failed 3 times on the last matchup with Ya and FaZe. So far we've seen it fail once here. I feel like, much like we saw previously, they're probably going to try it again and fail it again.
Here's the thing. They didn't dedicate the Habana to watch the back. What the Habana did was run back up into Skylight and try to take control of the stairs, like the top stairs, instead of the actual emergency stairs that lead down into the servers.
Yeah.
Which is huge overextension, and that's what opened them up to the Bandit from behind.
And not to mention they had a good roam game for flank there in that. Exactly what I was saying before, like the flanks were going to really cost them because they're so stalled out and focused, and that's what we saw last match too, is once you get to that point, it's super easy to get Montaigne to that door. But then where you go from there, and then Sexy Kick on Montaigne just standing in the smoke was confusing to say the least why we're seeing that happen a couple of times where they just stop in the smoke. Maybe he wasn't paying attention because he's like, oh, I got my shield up. I'm going to, you know, just whatever, check my email, I guess, at that point. It's just, it did not seem like he was on top of it, and that's really costing them. But nonetheless, Liquid are going to try this bomb site again, all the way downstairs. This time, we're going to see a Blitz go for the push. Last time we saw BRK push very successfully from Garage. As I said, they probably weren't going to repeat that again, and like we're seeing here, they are not repeating it
Wisely
again.
so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's that was a great throw off. That's like when you do a vault drop. It's unconventional. Don't do it all the time, but when you pull it out, people don't see it coming. It's great. So I love to see some variety to these attacks because, well, like we're seeing with the Montaigne ones, it's just not working. But nonetheless, they do have the Jackal and the Lion again. And the Blitz here to try and get it right up to where Montaigne was before, hopefully not just going to sit in some smoke. His job, of course, just like the Montaigne, going to be to bait out the C4 and the smokes as soon as he can. So getting up to that position early, I think, is important. Good to not get stalled, and you want to get the rest of your team to potentially kill some roamers, if you can, to try and lower their numbers before you actually go for the push.
Oh, PSK on a smoke setup, and you see dedication from Bullet, his teammate, all the way upstairs. They're going to try to use this in two ways. Either they delay so much time for the attackers that need to clear them up, and they get a couple kills off of it, which would be perfect, or they basically force the attackers to go for the site, and then they can just come in from behind and try to go for the swoop. Smoke's going to get used up here through the ADS, so need to burn it, and unfortunately with only flashes on Diogo, if he has them equipped, then it's going to be a while to get hit.
On the hunt.
Unfortunate here, as Bullet will take down one, but both...
Oh, they traded each other.
Yeah, both will go down upstairs. That's the Hibana now taken out. It's not the end of the world. You're not really expecting the Hibana to do too much, but it would have been great because there is no Bandit to be played on Team Liquid. Would have been perfect to take down that mirror window. Exactly.
It's a little risky to peek that, though. That is a tough angle to peek quickly enough to line up that shot. But nonetheless, they've got the wall open now. They're in perfect position to plant. At least one smoke has been used. He's got 2 smokes left and a C4 to go here. They just need to time this right, and it's going to be an easy stall out for the last 40 seconds. But the push around from Blitz, unexpected.
Yeah, they're waiting for the Blitz to run right into them, but they're not expecting
the crossfire.
The crossfire, exactly. The smoke will get thrown out as well as the C4, and it catches him! Oh my god! Cyber would just flubber all around CCTV. SPX.
At least PX is still alive with the diffuser. That is but 20
Diogo.
seconds. It's not looking good. They've got to do a bit more damage. 2 versus 2 here.
No more remote gas nades and no more C4 to be played with. Flashes will come out here, but this diffuser will 100% go down. Unless he can just rush it. No, PSK is able to take it out. What? Now 3 seconds left on the clock. There's no time to go for this diffuser plan. And with a quick rush and kill on the Thermite, the defense will take it. Team Liquid make it through, and seemingly out of the blue, just jump in, get the kill, and immediately go away.
100% Diogo's fault. 100%.
Yeah.
He was, all he had to do was cover his teammate. So
Who
that
had one job?
Literally one job in that case, while your teammate planted the diffuser because you know that's his job, you know that's what he's going to be doing. All you have to do is cover him. And it just did not happen, and Diogo costing his team the round there, unfortunately. Obviously, you could blame the other teammates as well for being dead at that point, which is never a good position to be in. The Blitz getting very greedy, for example, and rushing into a crossfire. That definitely did not help their team out at all. But nonetheless, not covering that, and well played with that rush there. Just, you know what? This is the only way this is going to work. This is my one shot to take this out, and he completely played it right against a misplayed Lion just sitting there.
Yeah. If you had one shot, one opportunity,
that's right,
to capture it or just let it slip.
I think he definitely got it. And
yeah, and that's definitely Diogo on the line that spilled the spaghetti, and that was it.
Well, you know what? Looks like this team's ready. So here we go. 1 point lead for BRK, the team that is the underdog. Now coming back up, Liquid going to have to struggle to try and make this, but it is going to be against Teller's Archives this time. So that is a site that we have seen, especially with aggressive teams being able to push a little bit better now that this game has been, or is being played very aggressively. I feel like the site has gotten harder to defend because aggressive teams that take lobby and are able to pinch somewhat well from the backside and Archives really leave nowhere to go, and they end up taking Teller's control very quickly. And when you can cut off all rotation from there and stop people from coming behind you from the lobby side by having good lobby control, doesn't seem like there's much the defenders are usually able to do about it other than lucky C4s or just good gas stalling. So we'll see how the push is going to come. But they do have a Vigil, which makes me think there's definitely going to be some roam action going on, possibly also one on the roam, as it's less likely that we're going to see the smoke on the roam, but it definitely does happen from Latin America especially. One
thing I would have expected from BRK is, since they are playing on Tiller Archives, to have a bandit, because you can just, you know, bandit the side. Now Team Liquid have not been running.
No mute either.
Yep. And unfortunately, well, Latin America is the only region that has been playing Twitch a lot more than the rest of it. Just, you know what, we don't even need the Twitch because it's, you know, it's a hit and miss. We just can use a Thatcher and that's it. It's game over.
Interesting to point out, they didn't bring a Habana. They only have the Thermite, so he's going to be a lot more exposed trying to open any walls. However, there are many choices of walls. There's the open area wall from that small office. There's the wall near the stairwell in that hallway. There's the wall on the front in the tellers. So he's got plenty of room to play. Can open 2 of those and make it a big problem for Crossfire on the team in Tellers or Archives. So
yeah, that is one of the best parts in Rainbow Six, of course, is that there are so many options and ways to attack. Like, this same site, you could have brought a completely different setup from Team Liquid with a buck, for example, and it worked fine. But
which is pretty common to attack from above.
Exactly, and this is something Latin America has been very well.
Oh, there we go. This is going to really play in disadvantage. Popping that line right then, it's going to help him deal with that crossfire from those 2 players. Now he can actually push them much better because they were both stopped by the Lion.
It's all about the hip fire. Here we go. Nesk will just spray in and will get the kill as he's in support of his teammate on the blitz.
That was what you see. Like, that's one of the things about the Lion. It's not just seeing people. It's situations like that where you give the blitz the opportunity to push more aggressively on 2 defenders because neither of them are allowed to move for a few seconds.
It's about timing.
Absolutely, and that was an example of timing working out. Obviously, the teammate behind him helped as well, but that's exactly what you should be doing as a team, and that's what got them the kill on the Vigil. Unfortunately, couldn't get the other roamer upstairs. Still going to have to work on that. And 40 seconds to do it is not a lot, so this is going to have to come down. The blitz already pushing on Tellers now.
Oh, grenade will get thrown and it will land right next to PX as he falls to the floor, but 2 kills will sally very quickly here from Team Liquid. PRK still have 2, and maybe PX will get picked up at the end. They are unable to take him out. 3 alive from Team Liquid. They could have possibly used Nesk up top to get a frag, but they will use any advantage that they have here. But Diogo gets 1, can't get the second. 7 seconds on the clock. Cyber last man alive. Diffuser will get picked up, but it's Bullet that will finish off 1 going in for the fight. Still Cyber can use the rotate hold to come around from the back, and he will get both kills. Oh my god, Cyber, are you joking? What is that?
I got to give a lot of credit to the smoke for that, too, because he held it off as long as possible, even got a kill out of it, and just gave him the opportunity for it to be desperate at that point.
One tap the Lion with the shotgun through.
That's what I mean. Yeah, he was definitely playing it, and that's really what helped them do that. But also that rotate hole, I was talking about that on Monday when NA was playing, that you got to have that rotate hole right there. For exactly that reason, because we're seeing, again, a lot of teams playing on Bank are taking Tellers by just taking complete control of that Tellers room and stalling everyone off into the archive side. If you don't have that rotate hole, that's exactly what happens. You get killed in the doorway, or in this case, you kill the attacker in the doorway, but that doorway becomes a big kill spot because it becomes a very clear funnel. If you have both angles like that, you can come around the other side. Obviously, you didn't necessarily need to because the guy was on the diffuser either way, but that's why it's important to have a good setup, because we're going to see if Liquid can do the same thing here, as BRK are surprisingly strong on Bank. This, again, was Liquid's pick. We're so far seeing 2 points ahead. Cyber, big part of that, doubling his closest teammate's frag count there and doubling the highest one on Team Liquid from Nesk, who is doing his part. The rest of his team, unfortunately, still need to play a little bit of catch-up, but really well played there. Cyber, definitely one of the strongest players on the team, especially on this map.
Especially on this map. It's all about how you think in those clutch moments. Can you remove all of that excess information and just mute them until you can get the job done? And this is another thing with team communication, that your team has to realize that they are only allowed to feed you pertinent information when it is needed. And, you know, this is something that a lot of players, even, you know, high-ranked players, if you will, just do not understand that is the biggest difference between playing at Pro League level and playing at any sort of rank level.
Comms discipline?
Yep.
Absolutely. But nonetheless, we are in an information-heavy setup in the moment with meta in terms of you got the Jackal, you've got the Lion, you've got drones, you've got all kinds of ways, phone calls as well sometimes. And unfortunate footsteps there going to cost one of the defenders a little bit of information, as we're saying.
We might have an operator coming in with a mop later on, that it will be their special ability to take down.
They're going to have a huge uphill battle with the amount of blood that is shed in this game.
Viscera cleanup detail.
Yeah, that's
Rainbow
exactly
Six Edition.
Hopefully we get like a crossover map at some point for that. But nonetheless, it is still a minute and 10 seconds burned in this attack here. They are definitely going to have to. Well, they're getting good information at least with the Jackal, but they're not actually killing the roamers here. So despite the Jackal doing his job, they're not actually seeming able to execute on it, as CEO is still under their control. So Cyber needs to get in here, despite being the top fragger.
Oh, no, the Cyber, no!
The team kill!
What? That is 2 players just down.
Novies.
The Blitz and the Jackal, and Novies is low on HP now.
Well, this is Liquid's big opportunity to even the score up a little bit. A huge misplay there. And that is only a minute 10 left to try and correct it. And look at the damage here on Novies as well. No damage on Team Liquid. BRK have pretty much flubbed this round for the most part. They're going to have to play pretty hard in the next minute to do something about it. At least there's some good intel for the defenders as well. They've got Echo, they've got the Valkyrie cameras, they've got mirror windows to be able to see. All the advantage here in Team Liquid, assuming they don't make similar mistakes. This is going very much in their favor.
Very much so. So, one more charge will get used up here by Novies and the Ash. As you see, PX dropping down on the Thermite. Now, Diffuser is in the hands of the Ash, and that's not something I support because, well, we all know how that can go. And Diogo can definitely pop his E1D. See Novi's very close up here trying to find an angle to get a kill. But with 20 seconds left, they need to get this down. And this is the last E1D that'll get used, and nobody from the defense will move. All smokes have been utilized, but there's still the C4. Ness will get one as Zig sprays through, gets another, and Nesk cleans up the last of PX. And my God, Team Liquid, they might just be close to bringing it home.
Yeah, with a round like that, you got to imagine that if you're BRK,
That's
losing a lead like that, yeah, it's hard not to get tilted in a situation like that, because it's not just that you got team killed. You got team killed and lost all your momentum. You were going so strong up 3-1. You were 1 away from match point.
And then, you know, you completely booked the BEP.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see if they can bring it back, though. Team Liquid, obviously a very strong start on Coastline, trying to get that momentum going. They're going to have a little bit of that coming back here. We are not going to see Montaigne push on this, thankfully, which has just, again, been not working at all. They're going to be trying a little bit more of a conventional strategy, but they're going to be bringing the Ying, which is going to help with that push. No Glaz or anything like that to abuse the smoke, but they will definitely be able to get a lot of clearance of visuals in CCTV so they can go for that plant potentially.
10 kills for Cyber, not too shabby.
He probably would have one more had he been able to get that one kill, but that was close. At least he did his job in track 2.
This is the setup we were talking about.
There we go, yeah.
Now you can't use the Texan Dynamite because, well,
the Texan Dynamite.
The Texan Dynamite.
See, and that's the nice thing. He's using the Deagle, which is not going to take out the wood, like a shotgun would. So that actually helps prevent accidentally destroying the wood. So I like that, like, extra use of intelligence there, knowing that the wall destruction from a Deagle is going to set up the way you want to, as opposed to just everything. And we usually use the Deagle, see the Deagle used for wall destruction more to set up cameras. So it's a more creative use of that. And I expect there are other maps where that could be useful as well, to be able to deny that. Like, you know, the way people would open the wall, for example, in some other maps where they need to get a lot more map control from doing so. If you could just set it up in an angle like that where they can't push through it, and maybe they don't have Buck, or someone else can, you know, grenade the wall. Sledge works pretty well for opening that, though. He will hit and destroy a lot of that.
But when we're playing...
But you're exposed.
Yeah, and you're on bank, you know, you're downstairs, you won't really...
Oh, they saw that?
Yeah, you can, you know, you can hide, you can run, but you've already been spotted, my friend, and they know where
you're coming. Blitz is coming.
And Choo Choo Sexy Cake goes as he's checking every side, every angle here on the staircase. He's going to spot out one, as there's always a drone in front. In this case, 2 drones.
Unfortunately,
C4 will miss. Yep, and that's a bit of a blowout here because they won't be able to use that utility when push comes to shove. The attackers, the Sexy Cake, still in control of the stairs, and he's just going to stay there until he gets information from his teammates.
Looks like they might have pushed all the roamers downstairs as well, which of course means they have to fight 5. It's much better to kill them before they go back downstairs, but at least they've taken map control. Still have a minute 30 left to do something with it. All the attackers alive, no one's taking any damage, which could work in either favor depending on how fast they play this next part, as Sexy Cake is at least pushing downwards, but he's going to overexpose himself a little bit with no teammates behind him to help on this. And Cyber having control of the blue stairwell on servers. This is, I don't know if this is going that great for the attack just yet, especially with Novi's alive out in the garage, able to come for a late flank from the end.
Of course, the laser sight will expose his position, but you know, you do rely on your hip fire if you're playing blitz, so it's,
Yeah,
it's
exposing
very
a
much
position, usually the sound's going to do that pretty well for
exactly.
you. So.
You know, I'm not usually a fan of laser sights, but this is something definitely I can get behind. Oh, Nesk, as you were saying, thinning out their opponents, well, it works out fine, because they will be able to take down at least Cyber.
I like how he's playing it from above, because it's much safer to Candela from above in that situation than trying to peek a doorway and throw it.
And of course, it gives you a bit of a clearer line of sight into rotations that are coming through the red hallway. Now, one will spot out both of his opponents in the gold vault. He's just waiting around. Diffuser won't get set down just yet, as he's waiting for the correct positioning. Now, E1D will get popped up here just so. When you see the pulse running out, they get the info on him, but no, Nesk will get one. Nesk running in, getting the second, and Nesk with the third one, as Zig cleans up one for himself, and that'll be the attackers here to tie it up. Look at this rush! Oh my god, are you kidding me? That is scary! That is scary to run through.
That's the situation where people don't like playing Ying against Ying, because it's just like all of us are blind, and he's just gonna run it and have free reign. Yeah, no, you just
it's either that or a blitz that's rushing as well, or like I might as well die.
Yeah, absolutely. And the blindness meta, as some people have called it.
Every single thing, it's a meta. You know, it's a Mira meta.
Yeah.
It's a trap meta. It's what do you think about that?
We need the meta. We need where we just talk about metas instead of
God.
metas. So in that case, though, like you've got the Blitz who can blind, you've got the Ying who can blind, and anyone else, if they were bringing in Ashe, for example, with flashbangs, would be able to just come blind them as well. But nonetheless, at least they brought a Legion this time, which will help. But again, BRK trying with the Montaigne strat. It's especially with the Legion on board here, and now they've got the Echo. I'm just not a fan of this, but at least they're bringing the Ying, so they're giving themselves a little bit of an advantage in this being able to push a little bit better. But the problem I have with this is, if the team is good on defense, you're not gonna bait out most of the smokes and C4s on a Montaigne, because they're just not gonna use them. They're gonna wait until the plant's actually coming down, especially if they have like the extra intel from this, for example, from a camera or an Echo drone. Because the Echo drone could sit there, or a Pulse and Gold Vault like we saw last round. Any of those situations where you can identify when the plant's actually coming down, they're not going to bait out anything, and then Montaigne's just going to be standing there as a mountain in a doorway doing nothing for the whole round. Sometimes, like Sexy Cake's case, just standing in the smoke.
Yes, that was a very awkward engagement.
Yeah, so we'll see. I would like to see this work once, just so that I don't feel so down on these scenes for continuing to try it, but this is it's up to BRK to make it happen, as they have lost their lead by 2 rounds in a row now of Liquid. This time, last one not due to a team kill, just due to getting outplayed and outshined.
Just getting yinged?
Yeah, literally outshined. They needed Pulse's sunglasses in that case.
That's an idea for a next operator. If Finka can trigger.
Well, that's what Ying has, those sunglasses, right? Just lend them to your teammates.
Well, there you go. Stop being so egotistical, Ying.
Well, nonetheless, they are trying to clear as much of the map as possible. Zig is going to be playing the typical Echo in the garage. We did see BRK take advantage of that before by rushing the garage, but they have not repeated that, as we said, which was a wise proposition, but they are not getting a lot of good map control here, as Bullet's able to just kind of chill upstairs, and it's already been a minute 15. Usually, by the first minute, you should be a little bit further in to the map to take control of that, because letting them hang out upstairs is going to cost you big.
Here's the real question. Why would you try to invest so heavily to clear out your opponent's roamers when you can just run into the site in this situation? What's the mindset?
Well, I mean, in this, you got to keep in mind too, there are limited ways to rotate behind you. If you can go for the plant, Montaigne can stand in the server stairs, the top of the server stairs, and what are you going to do? He's standing in the doorway.
And look at what's happening here with BRK. Because of the setup with the walls, they cannot go for the thermite
There,
charge.
he's going to open the other one. We saw that not work before.
Oh.
There's a smoke, though.
Smoke's gonna get thrown right in the feet here of one. They'll take a bit of damage from it, and a minute remaining on the clock. This is the first canister that's been used, but Zig is trying to set up with his yokai drone as E1D will get popped as well. Smokes everywhere, as well as all Candelas being popped. And one is just gonna stand there. They didn't do anything with it, but the C4 will get the double. Team Liquid in a perfect position here to clean up the round, as Sexy Cake will get one more. The Lion up top, Diogo. And one is so low on HP yet again. And Novi's, he's still in Skylight. What is happening?
Yeah, he's not exactly being effective up there, and Bullet sure is upstairs as well. So, good luck, one. Yeah, well, this looks familiar. We saw this last match where he's just hanging out in the sewers. Unfortunately, that is going to be
stay there where you belong, Molten. Like, there's not much.
Even the Echo drone pushing.
Look at the rush from everybody. They're rushing right into him, and Nest will get the kill. Team Liquid are one round away from this comeback to make it 2-0. They're this close. One more round.
From a 3-1, you got to, unfortunately for BRK, you're going to be not feeling so great.
And even production mentioning, you know what? This might have been just the concept for Outbreak.
This was it, yeah.
This was it.
Everyone rushed Montaigne. Yet he's not playable.
This is definitely a custom game that you can do.
Yeah, well, nonetheless, it's
Kill the Monty.
definitely working out for Liquid here. Assuming they don't try a similar strategy, which they're not going to do, of pushing with Montaigne. They're going to bring the Blitz instead, which I would say has been a bit more effective in most situations. So, I mean, obviously, Penta would probably disagree, but they seem to be the only ones pulling it
Fabian
off.
disagrees on everything, so hey, what?
Well, you know, I think I will leave it at that. So we do have a pulse this time.
14 to 3.
What?
14 to how do you get 14 frags?
Because Cyber's the only one doing anything on the other team.
Oh my God.
No,
Nesk is just absolutely tearing it up in this game. Even playing Mira, which is a support character. You're not supposed to get all these kills.
The Vector is a beast, though. If they're pushing you very poorly,
Leave
and you're
something
C4,
for your friends.
you know what? That's what Coastline was for. So, nonetheless, though, that lead has been lost by BRK. It is now a match point for Liquid. All they've got to do is win one more round, and they win for the day 2-0 in what we were hoping would be a 2-1. However, if BRK can just win one more round, they buy themselves time into overtime and a chance to see Clubhouse.
Yeah, maybe a chance. What I'm really happy is that Cyber is not using the Mac Daddy skin on that Deagle, because that is an
Well, you know what?
thankfully.
To each their own.
To each their yeah, it's a different, it's art.
That's why we have so many different skins.
Yes. Thank you. Oh great Lord Yuli.
Speaking of which, I did appreciate seeing the Jaeger, like what is the one with the the life vest kind of thing? I can't remember the actual name for it. Where he's like a
The Ace Pilot?
yeah, the Ace Pilot one. Or no, not the Ace Pilot one. The one with the orange vest. What was that called? Anyways, I saw that on
Save me, get me out of
previous
here.
on Clubhouse last match. And I don't know. I only see Latin America running that skin, and I think it's hilarious. So.
There we go. They'll spot the black eye that is set up in the main hallways. Bullet is up on the skylight, trying to find something here to support his teammate. Now, obviously, this allows them to basically force their opponents into this spot, and where Zig will just land the headshot, not even needing to go to garage. Now, Sexy Cake is just running in. This is not going to save you here, Mr. Vigil.
Sorry.
Sexy Cake will get the second. That is 2 down, and now PX1 and Diogo are alive with a minute 30. One is just going to try to get a frag.
All right.
If you rely on your pulse to take control...
Yeah, then just go into the sewers and hang out like Montaigne.
Yes.
This is unfortunate. I mean, it's totally still doable because at least time is ticking away, and they do have 2 C4s and 3 smokes. So they're not in the worst possible position. At least they have all the utility left on their operators.
Now look at where the smoke is set up right now.
What is happening here? Diogo is just going to potentially go up a floor at this point. There we go. There's one more off the board.
That's the second C4 that we're relying on, and right now this is looking like you'll need a miracle to win this. With 45 seconds on the clock, you can definitely see everything tightening here. The noose tightening on the necks of BRK, as you see even the blitz is rushing into them, and Diogo just runs away. There's nothing I can do against this one. Now there's nobody that can stop them.
Don't turn around.
Oh my God.
No.
What is happening?
Misplayed. Sexy Cake, you had it. What? Anyways, whatever. They still got 4 people left. This is doable.
But look at the time. We're at 16 seconds on the clock, and the push has to come down here. Nesk will get one, at least in 1v4, but Bullet is ready and will land the last kill. This round was just...
Yeah.
What? Like what? Just what?
Not the best round to end on.
Okay.
For
What is this?
Anyways, I mean, the Blitz has done his job earlier, so I won't give Sexy Cake too much flack as he was at least a useful distraction at the very end. But a nice 5-2, 5-3 victory, a 10-5 total here for Liquid, coming out strong. 15 kills from Nesk, 5 from Bullet and Zig, and 3 from the rest of his team.
15 kills. That's a bit of a warm-up.
Cyber, after his 10 kills, could not find a single one after that, and hence Liquid coming out on top. I do think there is some potential for BRK on Bank, as they at least got 3 rounds and had an early lead. But
And
one
then
of
they
those,
just, like, didn't know what to do with it.
yeah, well, our attack from Garage Strat's done. So what do we do from here? Unfortunate, but that is how it goes. Liquid at least showing some of the strength we were hoping to see today. BRK, unfortunately, still struggling like we expected, although I did hope this would get all the way to Clubhouse.
Yep.
So we are not going to see Clubhouse for the second time
I
today.
think we're proven that Liquid, at least on online play, are back in, and then we'll see, you know, as local tournaments, as BR6, and of course with Pro League and moving on and on and on during the season, we'll see how the teams have actually been adapting to the meta and how they've been evolving in our post-6 Invitational.
But at least we've seen all 8 teams now. So going for at least North America and Latin America. Tomorrow we'll see all the other 4 teams for EU, and then we'll have seen everyone play at least one match, which will be good to see how, because with such a new meta, it's good to see how these different teams adapt to it differently.
Different regions.
Yeah, so
tomorrow, keep in mind, EU is on for Playday number 2, our last games of the week. So, hey, what better way to end it, right?
Absolutely.
EU biased caster, by the way. Hey, I cast with 3 North American casters. I get myself a region that I really enjoy watching as well.
It's always been that way. We've
Yes.
never had more than 1 EU caster at a time. We have quotas to fill. So.
All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. So from production, from myself, from Emzo, and of course from Michael Kickstar Stockley. We will see you tomorrow for our EU broadcast. And Parker, we hope you're having fun in Canada. We'll see you on Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow, all you guys, for EU Playday number 2.